It's supposed to be going down the way, in a dramatic manner, but it is not, because it's very cold here and my body heat is creating a vortex of warmth. Uh, Good day to you. How are you today, family? It is time to begin the stream. Things are shooting up here. Smoke from Bulgaria. Greetings to Smoke. Big Goth Kitty. Chipmunks here. Stephen Burton. It's all flying up too quickly. John Payton. Pure Seagull. Everybody's here. Let us begin the stream, and I have to start with sterilisation, obviously, because it's apparently COVID is not past yet. It's going on a very long time. This is very, very odd. Scanning with ultraviolet energy for your maximum sanitation. Wow, how much money has the sanitation industry made sending casual labour in to scan people with ultraviolet wands and things like this, and wearing paper boiler suits which will give maximum protection? I did receive a set of COVID tests through the post here in the Isle of Man. And they're the lateral flow tests, but they only require the nasal swabbing. But it still made me sneeze when I sneezed each swab. That's swabbed each nasal packet. Yes, that. Much smaller. They've actually made them smaller. Maybe a different brand. Made them more compact. Why, thank you, Grant Rennie. Much appreciated. They've made them more compact. This is good for plastic pollution and stuff like that. It's also simpler. It does have the liquid in the vials. Would you like me? Oh, I got some high-intensity UV LEDs here, says Onyx. Right. Would you like me to do a COVID test live? But in the meantime, I have to correct something that happened last week. I drank a toast to the military veterans, but the wording of it, I got it all wrong and said it was a toast to the ones who survived. In reality, it should have been to everybody. So I'm going to redress that with this week's toast by toasting all the men and women who went into the military, and the military animals as well. Don't forget the military animals. Thank you, Grant Rennie, again. All the people and animals that went into war, both the ones that came back again afterwards and the ones that didn't, to the military. It is a repeat, Dennis, because that happened on Patreon Thursday as well. There was an impromptu. There wasn't supposed to be a stream on Thursday, but there was. It's usually every second Thursday. I've managed to do one, I think, most Thursdays this month so far. Now, have I forgotten anything? The supercomputers are all active. The fire is lit. It's needed. It's gone very cold here. Now we get WD-40 can the wall. I was just waiting for somebody to spot the fire extinguisher. Had indeed been changed for a can of WD-40. That was quite fast. I didn't think it was going to be spotted so early. I suppose I should change it. It's not ideal for extinguishing fires. No, you rectified it last week. Oh, Kirka. Oh, not so sure. Did I? No, I don't think so. Could be wrong. I think the DNO network operators need a toast this weekend. DNO, distribution network operators, the operatives, the linemen who keep all the electrical power being delivered to the homes, and the gas and water workers, everybody. All utilities, Dr. Squirrel. What happened to the dislike counter? It's still active in the other channel, but not this one. I want the dislike counter. I like dislikes. I collect them. Thank you, Tom Morgan. Much appreciated. Orange alert. Is there anything orange? There is the USB cable that's powering the phone is orange. I'm not going to show you that right now. But now you've raised my attention, I shall level off the recording device such that it is horizontal. That helps. Can we dislike the dislike? You can dislike the dislike if you wish. Bang that dislike button like it's a small, insolent child. You survived the UK storm. It didn't really hit here too much yet. Talking of insolent childs. Or how about... Yes, more about that later. Christian teddy bear. Oh, so sweet. It's not gay because it's a Christian, and if it was gay, it would go to hell. Yeah, Franco Walker, start the learning early. It also whispers in their ear something about it's easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich person to get into heaven, and therefore you should give all your money to the church. But let's not even go there. God, it's so cynical. Creepy Teddy, it needs hacked. It does need modified at Kalar. Is it going to be MP3 or is it going to be a proprietary codec like the Buddha thing? Have I got the Buddha thing? Buddha. Buddha. Let's get the Buddha thing on. Buddha thing is strangely... Oh no, that's a switch. No. It doesn't run entirely on Buddha power, right? Okay, so we're not going to get that because apparently you need batteries and not Buddhas to make it go righty-ho. Not to worry. We need Satanic Teddy. We do, quite Jolly Roger. It has already been suggested its eyes should light up, but as it is, it's not got a nice face. It's like, fuck you bastards! It's, that yellow bow is not fooling anybody. You're an evil teddy. I would put it in my head, but it's close to the ceiling, so it's not a good idea, and also it would look very silly. The dislike button is working, New Ninja. This is good. I think it probably changes colour to show that you have disliked it. But it doesn't give numbers. It's like I used to I used to get some sort of satisfaction from the dislikes in some videos. I shall blot my nose, it's very cold. Shit, Clive, you frightened me. What? Why? Can you see my breath? I can. Excellent. That's the right temperature. That's what we like. Oh, you can see a dislike number, Dr. Kingbop. This is, it's very goofy-brained. There are indeed gay Christians, and some of them actually seek solace in the church for their sinful life. It's very strange. But this is what happens, given that church who did it in the first place. But anyway, it gives numbers to me. All right, okay. How is Hutchie doing? Hutchie's doing finely gooder, but she doesn't tend to... It's been quite stormy-ish, but not by Isle of Man standards, so she's not been out much. She tends to snuggle up in her bed and not visit too many times. Oh, how does the teddy bear act with low battery? I'll have to test that. Sometimes they go distinctly unpleasant when the battery... Sometimes go... when the battery's running low. Yes. That's something worth trying. Ola Hammerstrom says, when I got home today after a trip to Stockholm, my kitchen temperature is 9 degrees Celsius. Wow, that's hot. I think it's reached at the bench, it's reached 7 degrees Celsius. That's what we want. I'll turn the boiler on at some point, John, but do you know why I'll turn it on? It's for the pipes more than anything else, because I'm not cold. Safe Claude Fish says, agreed, cold is lovely. Why have you been drinking? Jim Bob, I have not been drinking. This is me normal. Wait till later. Does it take Teddy make any sounds with no batteries? It crawls along the floor with no batteries and tries to put batteries in itself. Did you just say 7 degrees Celsius, Minky Mutu? Yes, I did. Do you want proof? Hold on, let's see what it is at the moment, actually, then. We'll use this because it should display a default temperature of 7 degrees Celsius. Brilliant. That's what I want. This is the time of year I like the most. The cold time of year. This is why I could easily move to Canada. It's nice and cold there as well. Oh yeah, Reb's dioramas. I do not want 30 degrees Celsius. That's extremely unpleasant. I'm not a big fan of the condensation, Zadster. That's why we have dehumidifiers, and the dehumidifiers have been doing a bit of overtime recently, but now they've settled down. They've got it down to the standard 60% humidity that I normally have the place at. Usually it's about 5 degrees Celsius before I turn the heating on, just because, well, I don't want the heating to freeze up. Suppose you better keep it active. Mr. Eggcake says the lumberjack look is easier to wank to as well. Glad to help you wank then, yes. John Payton is at 4 degrees Celsius. Nice. -2 China North Air Guns. But that's outside, probably. Maybe not. Scruff dog outside 4, inside 16. Sounds reasonable enough. The only time I ever feel it, the cold, is when there's a sudden transition. It goes from being fairly warm weather and then suddenly it's cold weather, and that's the only time I feel it. Oh, the screen glitch. That was interesting. What good film you watched lately? None. I don't really watch much in the way of films. Technical channels, any interesting videos? I've not had time to watch videos. Isn't lumberjacking a sexual term? Gazariths, I'm not really sure. Lumberjacking, there's going to be one of them. That's going to be, where would that be? That would be, hold on, sex act. That'll do. Urban Dictionary. Female ministers that a male who has allowed his hairs to grow and press a bush. No, that's boring. That's rubbish. Oh no, there was another one. It was ruder. Hold on. Control Shift T opens that tab again. A male is having with the female from behind, and right before he's about to he kicks out her legs from under and yells timber. That's just pointless. That's just silly. Spent yesterday going from a 40 degrees Celsius boiler room to 0 outside and back and forth. Yeah, that's difficult. When did I last mention that my co-workers, we used to not heat the porta cabin because, like, if you actually made it too warm during the day, it was very hard going back out to work when you'd stop for a tea break. Does it play Jesus songs? Because it does indeed play Jesus songs. It's apparently got 3 Jesus songs, which is a bit disappointing. I thought, a Teddy would hold more than 3. I've only managed to get 2 off the buttons, but I haven't left it playing continually. Maybe it goes into another mode. Maybe you have to press both. Gazarus says, yeah, working at -20 degree freezer and going out into the summer heat was hell. I didn't realise that what was happening at the time, but when I worked with Hussman, I'd go in service, like walk-in freezers and things like that. And because you were working, you're burning up calories, you're always like climbing up in equipment, stuff like that. I just wore a t-shirt and work trousers and would go into these rooms, and everybody'd be in these thermal padded suits, and they'd be all staring at me and saying, how can you actually do this? Why are you not freezing? And it's just because that's my job. It's just like, I just work in the cold. But not in front of the freezers, not in front of the evaporators, because with the air coming off, it did its best to freeze you. I like those trees that look like cell towers, modernize. Jake Hardo's, this one near here. It's the main one for Ramsey, I think. Because bear, yeah, Ryan Drew. Sad Kato. You're a bear, that's why. Yes, indeed. Fur bear is a bear and likes it, worm. Yeah, different bears. That makes me what do they call it? A Arctic bear. Polar bear. So, a video that's coming soon. The patrons have seen it already. It's a very interesting gadget. Actually, I'll leave that till later. Partly now it's not really heated up yet. Not everybody's joined the stream yet. I'll put it on at a peak. What was I going to ask? I was going to ask something. Oh, yeah. Hold on. I'm using the pull system. Do uh-huh. So I wonder how much these COVID tests are actually costing the governments because they're saying they recommend doing them like twice a week, and it's like, does this really have an advantage? I'm not really sure. Bring back hypercolor shirts. They were horrible, Smoke. The thermally sensitive ones, most people, that was a very fast response so far. Dom Wright says, I remember guys who worked in freezers having to wait while their bits warmed up before they could pee. I'm not so sure about that. I did want one of their big padded suits because they were those big, crinkly, huge nylon suits. I just thought they were great, the padded ones. But they worked in them all day long. It must have. I wonder what that's. But yeah. Ugh. Don't know. They had a garage attached. It was basically a company that dealt with all the sort of freezer storage and haulage. So they actually had a fleet sort of maintenance garage there with a single, very beardy mechanic. And he also had one of those suits on. I thought that was quite pleasing, actually. But that's just me being a bit gay. Big Goth Kitty, I've heard that Fran had COVID. Mr. Red Cake says, my knees are fucked. It's your humans were never designed to run, particularly if you're heavy, designed to run for, like, they weren't designed to work at least 40 hours a week. We wear out, physically wear out with work. It was never naturally, you'd never have done that in reality in nature. They did say they would start charging for COVID tests, Mick Spanner. That's when suddenly the number of tests will plummet because the people that were just using it just for oh, I've got them, so I'll just use them all the time, would actually not. It's the same with the doctor appointments. They said they might introduce a small charge of £10 to see a doctor here, just to weed out all the old people that say, hello, doctor, I'll just get my wee cup of tea and biscuits here and have a wee chat to you and tell you how ill I am. Yeah, I'm so ill, because, I like the fucking attention. That sort of people that just waste the doctor's time. Cost of the government is 20 euros per test. That's a lot. Where's that money coming from, lass? Well, it's coming from us, apparently. Wait, the videos, COVID test, fuck that. Don't fancy sticking something up my nose or down my throat. Be easier shoving up my ass. I'm not sure that would actually work so well. I mean, I could do a test where I shove up my... No, I'm not going to do that. No. It would foul it with poop and then go to the chemist and say, this didn't work. Have I put enough shit in it? And just see what they say. Humans were never designed. We're evolved, I'd say. Human seagull. Well, yeah, but I Mother Nature, I'd say. Well, yeah, designed. I'd look at everything as being technical. Rhinos are just fat unicorns, but less glamorous. And they don't fart rainbows. Mouse says charging for GP will put people off from getting medical help. Oh, hold on. I'm not so sure, not if it's too much. Not if it's too little, because at the moment they're just wasting that resources. Thank you, Rubber Ducky. Hi for Burnmouth, Big Clive. I'm 37 weight, 19 stone. What would I be considering the bear community? Just a bear if you have a beard. I don't do this sort of like divide it into lots of sections like other people do. I almost had a rant there about some other part of that community, and I'm not going to. Someone was angry with me. That's fine, I can deal with it. The poll has ended, and it wasn't actually as 100% decisive as I thought it was going to be. 67% say yes, with 473 votes. Mr. Google says, Isle of Man TT 2022 dates confirmed and tickets on sale. I did not even know that. Mr. COVID might have other... Absolutely, COVID might, because it's bizarre. Thank you, FTE99699. Where's 1% gone? It's not that accurate. I'm not really sure what happens there. Put a hold on the nasal penetration, Art Campbell says. I'll do it later on then. I'll get the test through so you can see it. Flowflex SARS-CoV-2 antigen rapid test self-testing. Let's see if I can push it far enough up my nose that it actually causes blood to come out. I'm watching this entire stream over data because I'm away from home, SwiftSilver. Remember to reduce the screen size down to the absolute minimum resolution then, because that will save your data unless you're on unlimited data. I don't know how the rest of the world is, but these days, for about £20 a month, I get unlimited mobile data, calls and everything. Everything's just unlimited, so you don't have to worry about it. Did you buy a bear? Well, Biggest Dickus, I did buy this bear, Biggest Dickus. I bought my religious bear. Roger Condliff, yes, the best bike race in the world, TT to the moon. It is the most dangerous bike race in the world. Plus on to the test, I never did one, so I'm curious, says FTE99699. Why, thank you for that as well. Yeah. Mr. Redcake, there was a large fella working next door's stuff. Nice. That's ominous. Bad taste bears, Grant Rennie. Bad idea bear for me. I love the computer, says duh 1100. You can have computers if you wish. This one is a courtesy of Evolution. This one was from, I've forgotten now. I've forgotten who sent that. But it was Charles? I think in Canada. I think it was this one. And this is from Mouse, but he sells them in Etsy, as does Evolution sell those in Etsy as the boards and kits. And this is also Mouse's little mini supercomputer. I have arrived, says Fanautical. Greetings, Fanautical. Nice stomach. Nice stomach. Was that me turning around like that? I don't know. Nearly time for the fire. It is nearly time for the fire. I wonder if Liz is going to turn up just in time for the fire. Could do with a star-shaped supercomputer for Crimblemas, Sadster. I think Mouse may have something up his sleeve there. I think he may be ready with themed stuff. Liz is here. Thank you for your electrocution video. Very informative, says John Payton. It was a very hard video to make. Oh, no, the neighbour builder. Oh, yes, we all like builders. With beards. Sorry. Runny nose. Whiffles. Yeah, the WD-40 is probably a bad idea. I'm not sure it would make a very effective fire extinguisher. I could spray the ceiling with it. No. No. Just no. Whiffle. Most satisfying in winter. Let's do a big one. Oh, that's quite a big one, yes. It was the Patreon stream that we added e-liquid to the Whiffle. And it actually acted as a fire retardant. It didn't work at all. It slowed it down dramatically. Nice basic wimp from the first. They're good. Not as good a basic wimp as this one, though. For basic wimps and bursting into flames, quite frankly, it's very hard to beat this one. Oh, and bursting into flames, apparently. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, very boomy. I like that one. Bring on the bass. Right, tell you what, I'll get rid of the WD-40 out of the thing and I'll put the fire extinguisher back. It does make more sense. Right. Nice audio in that, Woofle. It is. An isopropanol bottle, spray bottle is great. It is. You get aerosol isopropanol. It's very good. Is the bear flame retardant? We could test that as well, Biggest Dickus, but that might upset people. I don't want to upset all the religious people because some of them are actually quite nice. Laser Lord says, just saying hi, and I want to say I appreciate the new green supercomputer, which I tamed down with a 470 ohm resistor in series, just to get the intensity down, because it was too bright otherwise. It still worked at 1K with current I couldn't even measure in the power supply. What does fire stop do? It stops fire, Norm Swan. It's just a fire extinguisher. An aerosol fire extinguisher. Franco Walker burned the bear? No. Hair lacquer, we've done that. We've done all the hair lacquer things. In fact, they're still down here. They're actually still down here, and there was a whole thing ages ago. They're gathering dust because, to be honest, I don't really use VO5 invisible ultimate hold. It's just not terribly practical, not even in the beard. I don't want stuff like this near the beard. And it was okay. This has not been used for a while. That's not working very well. That's just spraying stuff all over my hands, and that's probably a bad idea. YouTuber engulfed in flames during live stream. Yes, I know you want it, but it's not gonna happen. What have I got down here? Oh yeah, we've got the Batiste. The Batiste dry shampoo. Oh, that's better. That's not better. That's not better. That's rubbish. Oh, there we go. Yeah, powdery. Just before MD asks, dry shampoo is basically aerosol rice flour, super fine rice flour. And you spray it on the hair, put it in, then brush it back out, and it takes all the oils and dirt out. Was you pleased with the electrocution video reaction, Barry Davis? Thank you for that. Yes, I was, because I thought it was going to be an unpopular video because it was a bit dark. I was trying to make it real accurate without boring. It was a very difficult video to make. I've tried it before. Extremely difficult. It's taken me lots of takes as well. And I forgot one of the items I want to talk about. Thank you, Basti Electronic. Before today, I've never seen slow flash SMDs. Yeah, that's the slow flash surface. The slower version of these, I see them appearing in sets of the strings of lights, the copper wire strings of lights. Have you ever made a reflow hot plate out of an old iron? I have not, Gazariths. Because I have a proper hot reflow plate. He said, pointing at it off shot. No. I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to have like radium gin. Clive looked very different on the Lekvid. Did I look very different? Maybe it's because I was being serious about it, because it was a serious subject and very grim. Been to the aftermath of incidents when I worked at a location where the previous electrician had died horribly, and it was a self-employed guy, and it was a horrible story. Let's not go there. I shall put this through. In the video I mentioned about not putting your arm down the back of stuff or around things, this guy put his arm down the back of the live bus bars in a bus bar chamber. That's all I need to say. Thank you, FTE. Gin is a good call. I'm nursing a bottle for 2 hours. Excellent. And when something like that happens, people have to go in and make the place safe afterwards. That's not pleasant. Didn't know the guy. Glad I didn't know the guy. Why would you do that? Don't know why I did that. Overconfidence is why people might do that. Disturbing, very disturbing. Activate the ultraviolet. I'm going to put the gin in first so it glows nicely green. a question from the mechanics. A question for the mechanics. The question mechanics is, where's the video? No, there's not video of the incident, Olive. There's not. It's a long time ago. Do you know, it's not helped by the fact it was a very confined area. And that's another pet hate of mine. Architects who design stuff and put it in a very confined area, it was like, imagine a little tunnel you had to crawl in to gain access to the bus bar chamber. Let's stick it in there out the way, because I'm an architect and we want to save all the space for important things. Yes. Oh, thank you, Sam G. That's much appreciated. If you use Patreon, you get little extras as well. You get the extra streams and things like that. Keep in mind that a couple of dollars a month, well, that would buy approximately $2 would buy half a coffee. It would buy half a latte these days at the local coffee shop. How's the van? How's Ralphie's van? Yeah, it's going fine, I think. Barry Davis says, I had a static electric shock off a years-old rotating water pump. Hand to back of the neck job. Okay. So anyway. Oh, you're learning Japanese? Hold on, let's see this. Thank you, FTE. Learning Japanese for no reason. So, Jin it is, means 6 that I know by heart already. Okay. Which is easiest to learn, Chinese or Japanese? I think the Chinese language is fairly straightforward to learn the basics. Greetings to Canada, Chris. How's the building deeds needing reading doing? Barry Shepherd. Read them thoroughly, and I have to say, it's all legal speak, and I don't know about you guys, but it was giving me the heebie-jeebies because it's all very formal and final and legal and saying sign here and there's no come back afterwards. It's all a bit intimidating. I went and raised an issue with something that was kind of wrong in the drawings. There's some bit that was shown that wasn't, but I anticipate very soon, early next week, signing things. Bit scary, but hey. What did you want to ask the mechanics? Brake calipers. The cylinder and brake calipers, the bit that actually pushes the brakes out and actually brings them back together to grip the disc or rotor, depending where you are in the world. It seems to have multiple names. There's often talk of rotating it as it goes in, but it's not like it's a rifled barrel, because it can't, because it's a hydraulic cylinder. Is the rotation purely as you push it in, just to make sure that the O-ring doesn't get pinched? Because surely on the way out, it is kind of going to get the same thing. It's worth having a look over those documents Ryan drew. That's who's dealing with it. Thank you, Paul, for some cheap rum. Much appreciated. I shall stock up on cheap rum. It is only for the calipers that have the handbrake mechanism on. So what's the rotation for then, Michael? How's the weather where you are? Crisp and dry, Carl Robson. It's crisp and dry and not stormy. I thought it was going to be stormy, but it wasn't. My simple transfers equities took 2 tries in a whole year. It takes a long time, 45 RPM. Did you buy the bear after I told Biggest Dickus? If you mentioned the bear, then I did buy it because someone mentioned the bear. And Jesus, bears, they're irresistible. Usagi Electric has been doing his YouTube vids in Japanese this week. He's a smart cookie. Okay. If I had to learn a language, it would, of the Japanese or the Chinese, it would be the Chinese. It'd be more useful. All for a pish. Enjoy your pish, Mr. Eggcake. Thank you, Edmund. Much appreciated. Happy holidays to you, Clive, and all the technical family. Indeed, they're approaching. Rotate to take up slack in handbrake. Dunno. Fred says not an O-ring. I'll find out. I'm going to pop that cylinder right out of it. Rotation for lock. It's not a functional rotation. Make sure not electrical rear calipers. I'll show you what I mean. I mean, I've shown it before, the caliper mechanism. It's just one I've got to explore for fun on the bench. And if I take out this brake pad, wow, get your fingers all black at the beginning of the stream, that's right. And then I lick the asbestos off it. It's the hollow cylinder. Why is it even hollow? The cylinder in there. But it's that. I mean, I don't know if that's even going to pull out, because it's certainly not got anything holding it back. No, that is pretty solid. I think it's going to require pressure. I can feel there's a boot round it, a seal round the edge of it. Yeah, I just wonder why some of them have to be rotated. There's save ways it probably is. Piston pushes out, it does indeed. But if there is asbestos in it, incidentally, in brakes they use chrysotile, if they still use it. Why, thank you, DT. A fiver for the Cliver, much appreciated. I shall drink. If they do use asbestos in brakes, it tends to be chrysotile, which is the less harmful one because it's curly fibers. Still widely used. There's absolutely no doubt that some of the stuff being shipped from China right now on eBay probably has asbestos in it, because they still use so much that they can't even mine enough. Nobody uses asbestos in brakes anymore. It's useful to know, though. Only in some cars asbestos is still used for gaskets. So the asbestos they tend to use is the safe one, the chrysotile that your lungs can expel if you're not being exposed to huge quantities every day all the time. I'm putting this brake pad in. I'm not sure why I'm putting the brake pad in. The brake pad is back in. I should go and put this through. I'm just going to wipe this off my fingers. You missed the €50. I did miss the €50 super chat. Whoa. Not paying attention, am I? I'm scrolling up and down here. I like the C-clamp method. The C-clamp method seems popular, putting them back in. I shall try not to take my eyes off the screen like that. Scrolling. Thank you, FT, again. Japanese is hell. It's as different as it gets for Western Europeans. It does look pretty Roku, in case someone wants to know the gin brand. Isn't the Roku one of the gins that the Manx Beard Club tried? Really stylish bottle, but to be honest, it wasn't fantastically different from the others. It was all about the bottle. Does Furbear hate me, Mr. Eggcake? Only if you rile Furbear. Or say terrible things. I use C-clamps or welding pliers. Draw in bigger eyebrows. Actually, could draw Gary Glitter eyebrows in the bear. I flopped my tree in asbestos best fix. No, they used to do that, Jonathan Hughes. They used to sell packets of fluffy white asbestos for your trees, and the Wizard of Oz, the snow scene, it was asbestos that was being scattered by stagehands from above. But the reason... Oh, we used to play in the asbestos snow from the factory extractor pipes, as Mondo Daffs a brush. If it was white, it wasn't such a massively huge bad thing. But anyway, the white asbestos curly, they didn't use it in brakes because the straight strands of blue asbestos, the harmful one, damaged it. It was abrasive. But I've received things. That's a front caliper, Clive, purely hydraulic. It just pushes back. Certain types of rear calipers have the handbrake mechanism incorporated on a Cruth. The master. Okay. Carefully blow the cylinder out of compressed air through the bleed nipple. I've thought of that. The other end of the pipe is actually still, it's not a one-way pipe. It's still got some glycol in it. I'm going to pour the glycol out and I'm going to do a moisture test on it. Oh, then Phenotical can go fuck itself. What? What? Oh, Big Goth Asbestos Fur Currents, the theatres. I think they had one at the King's, not the King's Theatre, but the Mitchell Theatre in Glasgow. And I was out there to work in it. There was a problem with the hoist in it. Or was it that? I think it was. But the guy said, "Do you want me to roll it out and show you?" And I was like, "Not really, no, no." And he says, "No, I'll bring it down. It's great." And they brings it down. And it's like, "No, I don't like this. No, no, it's asbestos." I didn't know much about asbestos back then. I still say, avoid asbestos. Ah, wonder what happened to all the asbestos overalls. I'm not sure what they're made of, New Ninja, but there's videos, black and white videos of the people in the factories doing it and fluffing the asbestos up, and it's just like, God, poor people. They didn't know. I think it was a woman who made that connection between asbestos and the blue asbestos and the lung problems. It usually is. Women seem very good at this. They seem to be able to detect us men doing stupid shit. That's an ongoing thing, isn't it? I shall just wash this off my hands. For reference, every single one of us already has asbestos in our lungs because it's a natural fibre that actually blows in the natural air. Gaz Young Live, they probably did pass away, yes. Do you think you'd ever tour China? I wouldn't tour China, Swift Silver. I would like to go to Shenzhen and Guangzhou, whichever is the more active and more down to earth one. You left that at one moment, please, bad form, Big Goth Kitty. You're right, I did. Thank you, Chris. Much appreciated. Good evening, Starlight, says Brandon. That's no problem. Silica is dangerous too, because it's its abrasiveness, isn't it? But it's not got the same horror of the blue asbestos. When you're going to get a pink supercomputer, there's already a pink supercomputer. I think the ratchet mechanism is for e-brake, not depending on fluid pressure. What's the best torch that's rechargeable for walking the dogs at night? Queen team. That's very tricky because even if you pick a torch, you've either got a choice of the super designer brands, which are collectible and they're really expensive, or you've got the generic eBay ones. You just honestly don't know what you're getting. You might get something with completely different circuitry or a tiny battery. It's completely unpredictable. Justin Thomas, it's all about quantity with asbestos, yeah. My mini computer battery is low. It's getting lower, yeah. It could do with being changed. The main thing about the asbestos, it's worth mentioning this every so often and actually showing you what it looks like, the dangerous stuff. The stuff I'm about to bring and show you is not actual blue asbestos. I just want you to know that because people are like, throw it away, get out of the word, no, put it in the bin, put it outside. Which is reasonable enough. This is what blue asbestos looks like. It's fluffy, and you find it inside walls and things, or sometimes it's put into cement boards. But it looks just like tumble dryer fluff out your lint drawer, which is exactly what this is. This is tumble dryer fluff. But it does actually look like blue asbestos, because I've found blue asbestos and then regretted finding it in the job. I turned to the joiner next to me and I pulled a bit out of the wall because I was supposed to be putting a light there in the wall in an old theatre and cinema where it was between the projector room and auditorium from the era of the nitrocellulose films that the whole projectors had just burst into flames. So this was a barrier to stop it setting fire to the cinema, or kinematograph in that days they called it. And I pulled it out the wall and I said, "What's this stuff?" And the joiner said, "Oh," and he grabbed it out my finger, stuffed it back in the hole, and put a bit of tape over it and said, "No light going there." And that was it. Asbestos is just best left in its place. According to American Safety, asbestos can get you through a TV screen. You know, it wouldn't surprise you if they did say that. But the reason it's so fluffy for something that is a mineral, the reason it was fireproof, is it's like basically a mineral like stone, but it was composed of lots of thin, straight fibers, and they just didn't know. And they found that by fluffing it up, that it would get progressively fluffier and fluffier, and that unfortunately also meant in your lungs it got progressively fluffier and fluffier. Because if you, well, I'll show you. This, imagine this is a strand of fibre, asbestos. If you look up close, it looks like this, lots of straight strands, right? So then you take one of those and you zoom in, and it's still lots of straight strands. And then you take one of those and you zoom in, and it's still lots, it just breaks down into thinner and thinner strands, right down to the point it can actually physically cut into things like DNA. And your lungs just can't expel it. It's horrible. It's that thing, it happens a lot of things with humans. In their natural form, like radium and things like that, they're relatively safe, but when they're concentrated into huge quantities in a condensed area, that's when they become a bit dangerous. And asbestos was just the perfect thing. It was like, oh my God, it's a miracle fiber. You build it into buildings, you line your attic with it. It's lovely and fleecy and warm, and it just stops, it doesn't burn. It seemed like the perfect material. And then people started having problems, and it took a long time before they actually detected that. And even up to the point, like I'd done my apprenticeship, they were still working with asbestos because, well, they didn't know at that point. They were just starting to discover, and they were just starting to take precautions, and then it all went more serious. But they overreacted because the asbestos industry, removing asbestos, became so profitable because of some fat wanker in an office, taking on jobs, lots of money, and then sending just casual labour in paper boiler suits to do all the dirty work for them. It became so profitable that they've given all asbestos a bad reputation. The white stuff is acrystal, is still used, and it's not super dangerous in some situations, but it's not something you want to use on a regular basis. Arsenic wallpaper is also quite nice and it got damp. No need to wait for it to get damp. In Victorian era, I think, was it Victorian, they used to put arsenic on their faces to actually kill stuff like Botox and give them a pale complexion. So is it edible? If you ate it, probably wouldn't do any harm. I'm not really sure. Those fibers could cause stomach problems. Arsenic was used in green colours at one point. We had asbestos roof tiles, and my parents made help me remove them, and without protective gear. I had to pick up the plates above my head and remember coughing a lot. It was probably just ordinary dust from the environment that you're coughing a lot with. I'm going to put these through. And plutonium, yeah, radium. Radium paint for your glowing watch dials. Brake pads are aramid now. The question is, what's the next thing they're going to discover is bad? They will discover that some other thing that's commonly used is terrible. Oh, and lead-based makeup, indeed. And lead-based soda, we know how dangerous that is, not really. In the right circumstances. Do we drink when he says ozone, Art Campbell? You could. Ain't big, ain't clever, MDF. Well, there are concerns that the resin that it's bonded together with, but you can't really take all the official advice too accurately because take for instance Kevin the lineman of the NBC. They used to treat poles and a lot of woodwork with creosote, and the creosote does its best on electrical properties. It's an insulator, Sanamata. It was commonly used in electrical panels. Um, Kevin the lineman works on poles, old poles that are creosote, and they're seasoned in, and the creosote's well soaked in. He used to say they got the new ones that were fairly fresh with creosote, and it used to get sticky and all over you, right? But now they've got the now creosote has been kind of banned because it's dangerous apparently, uh, and it causes cancer apparently. So they're using noxious chemicals in these poles to make them last as long as possible. And he says that when you're in the vicinity in summer, your eyes are just burning and stinging just being near these poles, the chemicals. And you look up creosote and find that they actually did some research on creosote factory workers who worked with it all day long, every day, and the people who actually installed it on a routine basis and found there was absolutely no difference between the instant of cancer between them and other people who didn't work in the creosote industry. That shit they put in gates, Mr. Eggcake, it's the shit they used to put in gates. It's a creosote substitute. Brennan Perkins built his Daleks mainly from MDF. It's a very useful material. Not sure you could drink creosote, Chris. Probably in low levels. Hold on. I'm just going to search. Is creosote edible? Ah. It excludes growth inhibiting compounds that are poisonous to livestock, naive to eat large quantities of it. Powerful antioxidant. It's got a big complex name. Creosote bush, wild, edible, and medicinal plants. The young leaves. Hold on, let me just. Aromatic tea for drinking. Just let me get. Is this the same thing we're talking here? Not sure. Creosote bush. If it's the same thing, I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just a name. Yeah, not sure. It doesn't look. I'm not going to read that. Not in the middle of a stream. That's like a whole session of reading. Creosote bush isn't creosote coating, says Troy Belding. Okay. Creosote is a petrochemical different from coal tar, but you also got wood creosote. And we know what happened to Mr. Creosote, Connor Noakes. Not long till Jaeger time. Scrolling down. What? Human Seagull says, no, Furbear says to Human Seagull, fuck off. I'm not sure what's going on here. Edible, everything's toxic in large quantities, but in small quantities, it wouldn't surprise me if creosote was used as a flavorant. I like the smell of creosote. I do like it, Fanautical. Creosote rum, that's what we want. Scott Bagley says, hi, Clyde, because that's what it autocorrects Clive to. I hope your Thanksgiving went well. I hope you're doing well. But I didn't do a Thanksgiving. What the fuck is Thanksgiving? Do you know what Thanksgiving means to me? They used to have a Thanksgiving service at church when you took food in. Goodness knows where it went. Don't know. Thank you, Chris. Beware of dihydrogen monoxide. It is just. I think dihydrogen monoxide. I was going to say something there. No, let's not talk about what happened with dihydrogen monoxide recently in a complete boat of people. Let's not talk about that. But I've just inferred it, haven't I? FT, that's far too generous. That's ample. I'll use that towards the Jägermeister fund. Thank you very much. I will get more of that, of Jägermeister with it. Art Campbell says pretty sure it's a carcinogen, because Art Campbell missed the bit where I said that they did some research and found that the people who worked in creosote factories dealt with it all the time, had no significant difference in cancer from other people. Turkey Day. Wasn't creosote used as ingredient in guitar pastels? It wouldn't surprise me. I would expect to have quite a nice flavour, to be honest. Hold on. Creosote candy? Is that going to come up with anything? This is a minefield. It's going to be... No. Creosote destroyer. Oh, that's those things you put in the chimney. Monty Python's Mr. Creosote. Yeah, and more Monty Python. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. This is going to take a bit of research to find that. Cut off Ashby, hey, don't forget me. Ah. But yeah, I like the smell of that. Jaeger time. I suppose really people are exposed to a similar thing. The people laying tar and bitumen, aren't they also petrochemical stuff? So to the creosote bitumen tar workers. Toast Mr. Gox, I don't know. R.I.P. Terry Wogan, I thought he died ages ago. Would you like a whiff of thin mint, monsieur? Oh, go on, monsieur, just one little whiff of thin mint. Oh, go on. Indeed, Hunger. Craig Robinson, I can say purple burglar alarm, but whether you'd actually understand it, I'm not really sure. Fetch the bucket, indeed. I love it when he's just vomiting on the... You've got the cleaner down our hands and knees scrubbing, and he just goes... all over. That's just... It's very silly. Monty Python was nuts. Yeah. Bizarre. Strange. Some of their stuff was like, you're thinking, how can they even put that out? Teaching the class about sex, and the teacher in the class, as his wife comes in, then they have sex at the table in front of the kids. That was odd. Fanautico says, R.I.P. my love life. I don't have one, so that's fine. Rabbi boy, it's progressed, and next week should see a prominent thing. Where's the radium gin gone? It's behind the green supercomputer. Scrotum sounds good with a Scottish accent, Brendan Perkins says. Now, is that just scrotum or scrotum? Yes. So, a video that's coming up. The patrons have seen it already, but it's quite an interesting one. It's a very unusual item I got from eBay. It's only a part of the machine. The reason it's only part of the machine is because the whole machine is basically a 6-player arcade game, and it's massive because it's round with a huge big plastic dome in the middle. Fantastic machines that go back to when I was a kid. Kid. Do you own a kilt, Clive? Mondo Dash Brush. No, I don't. Unlockia says, I love your channel and I think you're fantastic. However, maybe bear in mind that you won't gain any friends bashing Christians. I know I upset the Christians when I say that. But I did say earlier on that not all religious people are bastards. That's my way of not bashing Christians. Some are quite nice, but some are just... Yeah, anyway. I'll show you. Is it a Xenon, Mr. Eggcake? It is not a Xenon. A Xenon does not have 6-player Xenon that people stand round in a big circle. I don't know, well, Will the Americans recognize this? I'm not sure. Was it just in British arcades? I don't have a suitable supply. I've got it attached a bit of breadboard with a microcontroller on it. I wrote some assembly code just to actually run the stepper motor. But it is. Oh, you can hear a stepper motor. It's arcade roulette wheel, French roulette apparently, the style of the colours. But it's an automated roulette wheel and it spins rapidly in one direction to throw the ball and launch it into the sort of the main saucer and bat it about a bit. But then it stops and then it runs slow in reverse and it's got sensors and an inductive pickup that will detect the position of the ball from an index reference so it can actually tell where it's landed. So it's just basically continuous. What's a Whittaker's? It's a Whittaker's. Whittaker's is written on it because Whittaker's made these machines. It's quite nice. It's nice. This is vac form plastic with printing in the back. It's a very nice machine. £50 in red. Well, that's not quite a 50-50 chance. Actually, it's nowhere near 50-50 chance in red. Yeah, that would be out of 25. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 in 25. So not a great odds. Actually, you know what? That's worse odds than actual FTE. That's fine. That's fine. Don't give me any more. I appreciate it, but that's so much. But thank you. The odds on that arcade machine are just terrible compared to actually roulette in a casino. Okay, it's only 2p a play, but how much money did that machine make? Marky Goulet, Whittaker's make Jodies too. Jodies? Not sure. Return might be higher. Yeah. But having said that, in the casino you get people putting thousands of pounds on. My respect for the hardcore online gamblers is at an all-time low because I occasionally do look at the gambling videos and the people who work at those tables, I mentioned this in the past, how abusive are people to the croupiers? They're just horrible. Question about those supercomputers, says Nikolai. Have you got any thought about doing project with a 0.4mm RF4 flex PCB and bend it into 3D shape? I've not considered that, but it would be interesting to make a strip with surface mount LEDs that you could actually shape round something so it was a supercomputer all the way around it. That would be quite nice. Gaz Young Live is right, FTE 99699. Hold on to some of your wage packet yourself. That's ample. I really super appreciate it, though. It will be spent appropriately on technical stuff and Jägermeister. Unlucky, I do find high donations awkward. That's why I also say, if you're on Patreon, really $2 is ample. Some people make huge contributions. $2 is ample, and that's why I say, if you're going to donate more, spend it on tools for yourself. Oh, thank you, Sam Watson. This is let's not start this as a trend. That's also 69. That's smutty. Have you seen the Twinkly brand lights? I considered buying them so many times, Shady, but the software app, this is the thing that lets stuff down. The apps. Yeah, we're Union tools. That's good, Horavac. Buy tools. Treat yourself to tools because they are going to work for you. And even if they don't work for you, just having it is good. Have you ever done that thing that you saw a tool and you thought, oh, that's so useful, and you buy it, and then it's like, it turned out you didn't use it quite as much, and it just sits there. Yeah, that happens. Think of all the shite in ShopRite you could buy. ShopRite doesn't have great stuff, Mrs. Cam. It's got some stuff. Keep in mind that I'm very, very low maintenance. It doesn't take much to please me. Stop calling me out like that, Clive. No. Do you have a huge collection of useless tools that you just thought it just seems such a good idea, particularly when you're young and it looks like an all singing, all dancing tool, and you think, oh, that is so useful, and then it's not. But then again, you've got them for those times you need them. It's like the snap-on tools for mechanics, that there's some vehicles have just this particular hard to access thing that they can either rough something up to actually make it work, or they can pay for this tool that they may only use once or twice in the lifespan. I suppose ultimately, if they use it a few times, it probably pays for itself, given if you're working professionally. Thank you, the night clerk. Much appreciated. Have you ever tried American moonshine? American moonshine has loads of different names. Look up moonshine in Wikipedia, and it has loads of different names around the world. So technically speaking, I have tried American moonshine, but it could also be called distilled sugar wine, or it's got loads of other names. Every country has their own name for it. I just ordered just a late night impulse thing. I bought myself a snap-on beanie hat. I just ordered it yesterday. Because I saw someone wearing one, I just thought I kind of like that. Yeah, gay. But ultimately to me, proper moonshine, good moonshine, is ethanol and water fundamentally. Hopefully mainly ethanol if it's proper. David Collins, Cubit, you really only buy Snap-on with the lifetime warranty. Now, I was watching a channel, I'll give them a shout out, to Camo HD, because I quite like Cammy in it, because he's so blunt. His tool reviews, he's just sitting there with the tools and saying, why you got all the Milwaukee tools and stuff like that. And he says this one, it was supposed to be the upmarket one, it was the fuel version, and it was just crap. But what's interesting is, because he's a real mechanic, using it in quite a rugged environment, heavy duty industrial stuff. Thank you, Sean Frizzle, much appreciated. Because of that, he basically, it's not tool abuse, but he really hammers the tools. They're being used in JCBs, excavators, backhoes all the time. And he says, I've warranted this one 3 times. You're thinking, that's not a good advert. You shouldn't have to ever warranty it at all. What is he doing to those tools? Did anyone get any Black Friday deals? David Hardcastle asks. No, because it's all fake. Marky Gill, I've had illegally distilled grappa made by a friend. Excellent, but he's a perfectionist. The people with the super posh still, they're interesting. A good channel for that. What is that channel that they did a great deep scientific one on stills? You're going to have to remind me. Oh, thank you, Peter Lannon. That is greatly much appreciated. No more room for tools in your apartment. You're going to have to get another place to actually get your tools. Get more. Tech Ingredients, that's the one. They did the best video on because they went into it in deep theory and why it divides it to FTE. No, don't do that. Are you sober, FTE? I just want to make sure if you've got resources, fine, but if just don't, I don't want you to regret it in the morning. If you do, email me. Harry Zacharyson, I sold a lot of Black Friday tools selling homemade electronics. Super happy. This is good. Selling homemade electronics. I mentioned this before again. If you're making stuff, I think both him and his wife are savants. They're a bit abstract. That's good. They're the perfect couple, aren't they? That's better. Thank you, FTE. Much appreciated. Mouse selling these, for instance, and me selling my kits and modules, and Evolution selling his PCBs. It's even if you just sell 1 or 2 a month, it gives you a feeling of independence when you're making and selling things. It just gives you a feeling of independence. It brings a little bit of extra income, And it just provides a good feeling of independence, is the best way to describe it. I'm just clicking through things here. Oh, HVAC North is here. We were chatting yesterday. Something went wrong. I was going to join the guys yesterday, but unfortunately, things got a bit mixed up and I didn't get the link through, but that's all right. It's fine. Now, Gazarus, my Weha VD screwdriver set was the best tool purchase, as good as they got them. Good tools last a long time. It does make sense. When you're young, when you're apprentice. Thank you, Cosmo. In before Clive turns off Super Chat. Thanks for all you do, Clive. Much appreciated. I'm not going to turn it off, but keep it lower. Keep it lower. It is, the point is, it's the equivalent of buying me a drink. I shall partake of a drink. Now, things like you get the status brands. I'm going to name a particular tool, the Joker spanner, for instance. I'm not sure. People are like, oh, they're amazing. And it's made by Vera. Is that the correct pronunciation? But I get the feeling that they're just a wee bit overpriced for what they are. But I do use Vera screwdrivers. Nipex is my brand of snips by choice and cutters usually. Thank you, Ola. Much appreciated. It is a lot less than €50, but it's equally appreciated. Thank you. Clive be buying new workshop. Indeed. And then filling it with tools. Thank you, Electron Box. Clive has to down a shot. No, that's not going to happen. But nonetheless, I shall have. It's whiskey today. And it's going to be cream soda. It's not going to be the usual dark and stormy. Was that one shot? It didn't feel like a shot. I have the Vera Allen keys, and holy crap, are they nice. Use them in 3D prints, the nasty set screws, it'll bite into them without stripping. This is good because I know some of you have done this as well. You know when you're using Allen keys, the little sort of the hex keys, and you use a bit too much force, and you maybe give it a bit extra, and then it just goes helical. You think the screw is turning, and you take it out, and it's got a spiral down it. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Redcake. I live in a field, please help. It's fine, living in a field is good. Cream soda. Hold on. American cream soda. Oh, Nips is a German equivalent for snip. Thus the name. I didn't know that, Horrorback. I have heard them called Nips over here, just the side cutters. From the sign Ministry of Villainy, it would be Department of Villainy. I've considered signs. I want to play it by ear and see what happens. Why is it called cream? It's vanilla flavour. I don't really know. They put vanilla in cream. Thank you, Philip Moy. Much appreciated. No, it's fine though. Don't contribute too much. I know COVID's actually coming back off now and people are feeling more comfortable. But so what does American cream soda taste like? It tastes like vanilla soda. This stuff's vanilla soda with whiskey. Gazyoung Live, American cream soda made in Cumbernauld, indeed, and mostly water. Snap-off tools are overpriced. They are, Steve Perry. They're a status symbol. The main thing is they're there when the mechanics need them, and ultimately, in their job, they absolutely need the correct tool. Because you look at there's no such thing as just one spanner that will do everything. You just have to look at Eric O, South Main Auto, or Humble Mechanic, or Rainman Ray, or all these other great channels, and you'll see there's no such thing as just one spanner doing everything. Even the electrical and electronic industry, one tool doesn't do it all. So you end up with loads. You end up with stubby spanners. You end up with long spanners. You end up with the short sockets. You end up with deep sockets. You just need them to actually fit into everything. I mean, I've got very nice. Hold on, I'm going to grab some nice sockets. They're probably gathering dust at the moment. They are gathering dust, but they look quite nice, don't they? The color coded ones. The color coding works really well on these. I don't have a. I don't really use them enough to actually really stress them, but I will say I go for good quality deep sockets because I do use those a lot. But being a mere electrician, it's always 3/8 inch drive, and this little stubby ratchet is good enough for me because, well, I already have a lot of torque and that can break bolts. Yeah. Six-sided, it is six-sided. Little stubby ratchet, it's a nice little ratchet, I like it. Yeah. In fact, I don't know, in the roulette one you might see that I had another. Hold on, I'm just going to put this out of the way. Now I'm just wondering, does that mean, hold on, just give us a second. But I used to have a roller ratchet. I completely wore the roller ratchet out. It was great because it didn't click like the normal ratchet. It didn't have distinct indents. It was just an infinite roller. It was great. It got absolutely used to death, to the point it physically started slipping because it wore out. Oh, right, okay. Oh, this is a 1/4 inch. No. I just want to say, because for the tool snobs, it's backhoe. I just thought I'd mention that. Just because, that thing matters. It'd be like, is it from Poundland? Oh, it's shit then. Oh, it's backhoe. Oh, that's, yes. I like old tools. Some of the old tools are quite nice. But I would say old pliers. The old pliers that were just bare metal handles. How many people had bad experiences with those electrically? Especially when you get the old pair of metal pliers that's got a skid mark and a big divot out it where they cut a live wire. Thank you, Silverfox Woven. Snap-on is overpriced. What is Halford's Professional? Has the same guarantee. The 80-volt 3/8 half-inch drivers are good solid tools, although given my toolboxes fill nearly the entire wall of the bus garage. Ah, you work in a bus garage. I've heard that Halford's Professional have the same lifetime guarantee. They're more expensive in the first place, which is paying for all the replacements. But I've heard that Halford's Professional has a good reputation. Thank you, Thomas McBurney. I'm just trying to make up for the lack of super chats this week. Thank you. Are Poundland tools made of chocolate? They do sell sets of chocolate tools. I was going to say something that's so sarcastic there, I'm not going to say it. I've been tempted that little backhoe set. It's quite nice. It's a smart little set. It came in handy for setting the torque and the stepper motor and the roulette wheel. It's got a little extension bar as well. Extension bars are very, very handy. I wish they'd standardise them. Imperial or metric? Let's go with metric. It's so much more convenient. A big fan of the big belt pouch from Dirty Rigger. Holds all the tools and snaps onto the belt with the airplane belt latch, says Frank Molloy. Dirty Rigger is a brand of tools for the entertainment industry, for the riggers. It's just aimed specifically at the riggers, and they're pretty good. Do I have any dirty tools? Yeah, I've got lots of dirty tools. Dirty Rigger tools. I don't think I have any Dirty Rigger stuff. Have I? I'm not sure. Weezabox, it is adorable. The tools. Thank you, Chris. Much appreciated. Backhoe is a Swedish brand within the hand tool industry, which is now part of SNA Europe, part of Snap-on, says Okirka, making a sensible comment for a change, Okirka. See, this is so strange when the semi-trolls then come out with serious comments. They're all, when it comes to crunch, the tools that you used to think, like, well, Norm Swan, Fluke isn't what it used to be either. Fluke is just a Chinese meter now. My Fluke is an American meter when they were, like, quite prestigious, but it's all comes from Chinese factories. They'll sell shit tools, they'll sell good tools. What do the Chinese use for the high-profile tools? What are their prominent brands, I wonder, in China? Ave broke his strap-on, Snap-on. To be fair, he does put a lot of stress in his tools. And the Snap-on tools do break, Peter Steams. Then again, you see some of the mechanics using them with extension bars, and it's not really fucking surprising they break. Have a rant about NIC, EIC, they're not worth bothering about, Mike B. The silence speaks more than that. But I will say that that electrocution video, how they're de-skilling, if you want electrical qualification, if you want to be certified to do electrical work, it's a one-day course, the NIC, EIC. You can get your safe electrical isolation, then you can officially say that you're electrically certified and trained by the NIC, EIC. That's great. You can then probably put the logo on your van or something like that, because it's real. You can genuinely say that. I'm not sure it's actually means you're going to be safe to work in electrical equipment. Oh, and they justify their course. They say no previous experience required before you sit the one-day course, before you get sent out to do work in electrical equipment. Big round of applause for the NIC, EIC. Ka-ching brings in the spondoolies. Yeah, that was foolish. Don't slurp fizzy things. Aha! Mouse has his Christmas trees. The supercomputer Christmas trees. Excellent. How are the LEDs doing in there? Looking good. There is one rogue LED occasionally goes out on the little and mini supercomputer, but that's what you expect from generic high-speed flashing Chinese LEDs for some reason. It's almost wiffle time, Rabbi boy. It is almost, dude. One-week electricians indeed test to destruction. But those are the 5-day courses that they say no previous experience required and everybody's going to pass. It's odd. Very odd. Who'd thought that would happen? Hey, as long as it's profitable for some people. I miss the old supercomputers up there. They're all around me. There's supercomputers asunder here. What's the time, says Liz Edwards, which means it's time for roulette? No, it's woofle time. Thank you for Robbie. Hi, Clive was in Poundland today and they had some... I saw the antique style bulbs, the big long one. £20. I think they were £15 here. Oh, are you talking the football? Oh, that's a different one. It's the big long one with the filaments I saw. Right, I'll keep an eye out for those. But yes, that's why I put the electrocution video up, to basically all the information that was required to teach people how to work with electricity safely is gone. It's a bit disturbing. People do work live. If you turn a control panel off to actually work in it, the fault disappears. It's the equivalent of the health and safety executive turning their video monitor off before proofreading a document. It doesn't work. You have to be able to trace it through. If the fault's not really obvious, if the control system has to be active. But no, as long as you're all working dead, you're certified. It's bizarre. Let's kill people. That's basically what they're saying. Woofle. Rants about killing technical people. Let's not do that. Let's protect the workers. Wow, sound like a union official now, don't I? Unions. Do you remember when unions used to represent workers? Wow. Woofle. There goes your unions, because they appear to be owned by the people they were designed to protect against. That's ranting again. Ah. Thomas McBurney says frozen. Refresh. Eat some to prove it. What? Where are you along the stream? Mondo Dash Brush, my Kamasa tools were used to be made into sacrificial tools for other purpose chuck away tools. Rant about the tube strikes. I don't follow the news. I don't know what's happening. Oh, did it give you potato vision? It sometimes happens. Sam Watson, where's this electrocution video? I haven't seen it. It's called The Unofficial Guide to Electrocution. And it just basically gives you all the information you need to know to hopefully avoid having a terrible experience with 50 or 60 hertz vibrating you to your very socks. Thank you, Squeak. A wild squeak has appeared. Rant on, Clive. Rant on. Do not encourage me. You know what I'm like when I'm encouraged to rant. Any snow, Mondo Dafter Rush? No, we don't really get much snow in the Isle of Man for some bizarre reason. And when it does happen, it happens excessively, and then it's like another 10 years without it. Rebus Dioramas. At some point in the future, YouTube will succumb to the continuous hammering pressure from the snowflakes and the bedwetters, and they'll be forced to remove technical videos that pose any slight hint of danger. And I'll probably have loads of videos taken down, and it'll be something like endangerment of the public. Candy Beards, the electrocution video is shocking. It's a very sober video. It's not a fun video. It's all very serious. Maybe I should have mixed some humour in, but it wasn't a humorous video. It was like that. Haven't watched the roulette module yet. It's very nice, Lawrence Solinek. Ain't big, ain't clever. NIC can go whistle. I changed out my consumer unit today. Goodbye, Contactum, split load. Hello, Fusebox, all RCBO. Excellent. What that means is every single circuit at the distribution board has overcurrent protection and combined RCD, GFCI, so if there's any leakage to earth, it's the safest way to go, really. They're getting better, but they fit an awful lot into each module. Good job, ain't big, ain't clever. But you are technically competent, and that's fine. Oh, I was going to do this test. And I haven't done the test yet. I'm looking for something to open this. So here's what we get. We get instructions. I know what the instructions are. I don't need the instructions. We get a swab to tickle my nose with. Not looking forward to that bit. It probably will come out blood in it, probably, because I had a nosebleed recently for some reason. It comes with a little vial of liquid, which has already got liquid in it, and a little rip-top foil seal. And the box, I think that's everything at the box, has a little perforated indent for stabbing it through to actually hold it up. So let us rip the top off that in readiness and place it down there. And we've also got this. We've got the bit that soaks it along with its little silica gel. Yeah, I keep the silica gel packets as well. I'm not sure if there's any point keeping the silica gel packets. But here it is. It's a little test thing with the wicking material that wicks it along. And a biohazard bag. I might just keep that as a souvenir, actually. I'm just not going to say what came to mind there. I could put a biohazard in it. I will read the instructions. I'm just opening this up now. Open it carefully from this end without touching the swab. Pull the little cotton swab out. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to scroll down because I'm just way out of place now. Scroll down. Scroll down. Silica gel might also be clay. No, it's clear. Little tiny silica gel granules. Water, sanitize your hands, make sure they're dry before starting the test. I'll just completely miss that bit because I've not been fingering too much. Remove the aluminium foil from the top of the extraction buffer tube. I have done that. Insert the tube into the hole in the box or place the tube in the tube holder. Open the swab packaging at stick end. Do not touch the absorbent tip of the swab with your hands because that could contaminate the test. Insert the absorbent tip of the swab into one nostril. Using gentle rotation, push the swab less than 2.5 centimetre from the edge of the nostril. How are you supposed to measure that? Right, tell you what, I'm going to put a finger there, right? That's 2.5. Hold on. Push the swab less than 2.5 centimetre. That's an inch. From the edge of the nostril. And shove up your nose. Oh, ah! Rotate the swab 5 times. How do you determine how many times? It's like you can't. Okay, I'll just rotate 1, 2, and the inside nostril. The swab, insert it into the nostril. Yeah, it happens every time. Now insert into your other nostril, pre-contaminated with and rotate. Again. Remove swab from the nostril. Time. Oh, the eyes are watering. Yeah, I don't normally stick things up my nose, apart from fingers occasionally, when I'm in the mood. Insert the swab into the tube and swirl for 30 seconds. They say, basically, you're to swirl it like this for 30 seconds. 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Now it says pinch the tube and rotate the swab 5 times while squeezing the side of the tube. Let's squeegee that mucus out of that tube. Then remove the swab while squeezing the tube. Okay, so the sample has been taken. I shall put this into my biohazard bag, and maybe not. I quite like the biohazard bag, but to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be using it. That was 20 seconds of real clock. It's fine. Time flies when you're streaming. Close the little cap over. And attach the dropper to firm the tip extract. Mix thoroughly by swirling or flicking the bottom of the tube. Flick, 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 flick. Right, okay, swirling. Gently squeeze the tube and dispense 4 drops of mucal mix solution into the specimen well. Here we go. How many drops? 4, is it? Yeah, 4 drops. 1, 2. Oh, they're quite gooey and gelatinous. Oh, look at that. That is very gooey. 4. That has gone very gooey. Maybe too much mucus. Right, tell you what, I'll put that down there at the back of the computer, and I have to leave it for 15 to 30 minutes. Do not read after 30 minutes. So I'll read it on the next Jaeger Munion. And I'll put this in the biohazard. Is it supposed to be as gooey as that? There's a lot of snot in that. I think it is. It's soaking along. I can see. I can't really tilt it up to show you that because that might affect it and also pour some of the goo out. I've not seen the Christmas tree badges yet. Hold on, I'm going to go and take a look at these Christmas tree badges. Knowing Mouse, they'll be splendid. Mouse has done Christmas tree themed things before. Usually heavily computerized. This one is probably less computerized, but more supercomputerish. Woofle time, it is not woofle time. That's your man juice. No, I don't think you put that into it, Hitesh. Wonder what happens to you spunking it, Darren Eager. That'd make a good video. Coming onto a lateral flow strip. That might get taken down. Putting secretions. Oh, Blur's eating ice cream. I'm sorry about that. It's a bit gooey, but it is spreading along. And one of the lines is appearing. You can just see it's not going to drip out. You can just see that the process is in progress. Liz Edwards says they're gorgeous. Ah. Oh, right. Discord attached. It's a bulb. Robbie saw at Poundland. Let's hold on. Is this going to even work? Is this going to work? Oh, that is a much bigger one. That's huge. That'll be why it's expensive. It's taking up so much space on the shelf. That's massive. Will they even ship them to Isle of Man, though? Because the Isle of Man doesn't always get the bigger stock because of the problem. China was swabbing people's assholes for COVID tests. Rebs dioramas. Really? No, you're clear. Yes. How would you even test that? Can we hear the bear? You can hear the bear if you wish. It's so far the test is not positive. I can't play the bear for too much for like royalty music reasons probably. Not that I really care that much. And the other one? Why haven't you pressed both? So what does the how'd you get the third one? Oh wait, here it is. Yes. Kill it, says Thomas McBurney. No, it is a precious subject of a video. Bible bear. Can you circuit bend the bear? Can we circuit bend the bear? That's interesting. What's it going to be based on? Yeah. Look, Mum, no computer needs to hack that. If it's hackable, big goth kitty. I need Look, Mum, no computer's email address to send him a link to an elevator mechanic posted a video of an old electromechanical controller that had failed. It got stuck in a loop, and it honestly sounded like a techno track. It was fantastic. It's exactly what Look, Mum, no computer would have liked. What's that? I'm going to burn in hell. Really? Uh-huh. For eternity. Okay. If you've got any questions for Jesus Bear, let me know and I can ask him. Link Felix Moore, Woofle the Bear, HVACR North. Lots of people have been asking me to set fire to the bear, but that's, I don't want to upset the Christians too much. Yeah, because you know what? It's a very serious thing. Post link elevator techno for the win. I don't know if I can easily post a link because I think it was a closed group and it was a closed video file, so I can't really do that. I may have to download it. But it needs modified. I wonder if it's better than the Buddha one, because the Buddha one, it turned out that the music was a proprietary format and some of the software was contained on the chip as well, and it was encrypted. That's kind of interesting. Show me in the bear where Jesus touched you, Jan Robert. And then put his hand into my bed. Yes. Yes. But anyway, it's quite amusing just because it is so religious. Oh, God. Do you know what I'm getting now? I remember taken into this big Bible shop when I was young by Mum and Dad and getting to choose a Bible. It was my mum who took me in, actually. Both me and Ralph got to choose a Bible each. I chose the one that was all gilt and gold because it just looked important and just, yeah, that was our Bible. Religious families. I've never seen Jesus Bear. David Collins, I found it on eBay after someone pointed him out, a site that was selling them. I won't burn the bear because that is a bit mean. It's a bit horrible. And it is, I'm not anti-religion because I'm anti-malicious religion, but I'm not anti the people who are religious just for circumstances, because there are many circumstances surrounding it. And bear in mind, I was brought up religious when I was young, before finding sin. No, Mike Oxford, I can't ask God that. because they were bad and deserved it. Really? Okay, it's so fucking mean. It's like, fuck you. God, it just, how have they made it look? It's like a squinty fucking eye. It's like fucking, yeah. Maybe that's the one I got because they knew. There you go, Squeak. I fixed a fireball and Wizards EM pinballs for life. Absolutely. Pinballs are good. He does look mean. For those of you who live in Glasgow, if they put the nativity scene in, go and look at the angels in the back of the nativity scene in George Square. They honestly look like the weeping angels. They're fucking terrifying. Did I vote for Hillary Clinton? I do not get a vote, Luke. I pay tax in America. I don't get a vote. Is it true Glasgow's full of specky BAMs? Glasgow has a lot of BAMs, Zoe. It's a tradition in Glasgow. Some of them are indeed specky. There's a camera in the bear. Oh, they do make camera bears, Norm Swan, for keeping an eye on your kids. How's the snotter test doing? The snotter test is looking okay so far. I don't think I've got COVID. Reddit 4 says off ya prick. What? Glasgow's pretty. Well, Glasgow is odd. It's got its dark side as well, but it's a very nice city. It's very much Gotham's. It's the original Gotham city. I like Glasgow. It's dark, but it's got a lot of character as well. It's nice. It looks good. Scott Marshall says, your fine Clive would have shown positive by now. I would have thought it would show positive, particularly if the red line is showing, because as you may have seen in that video, as the liquid wicks up, it carries the dye that locks onto the antibodies, and it would lock then onto the other part of the key, onto the stripe that would show it. So the fact it's making the other line appear means the liquid has gone up to that point. It's not shown it. Glasgow is green and white. No, it's blue and red, Rabbi Boy, I think you'll find. And I believe that I'm supposed to, because it's Catholic versus Protestantism, this is part of Glasgow, is you have the Rangers, which is represented of the Protestants, and you have Celtic, which represents the Catholics. And it's a war. It's a war. That's all I'll say. Let's just say the Christmas lights in George Square, we were misguidedly given low-level mains voltage, which I'm not a fan of. I think all lighting at ground level should be 24 volts. But when you're given the mains voltage stuff, you've got no choice but to put it in with protection. And it was just big illuminated plastic presents. And people tried stealing the blue ones. The Protestants tried stealing the blue ones, presumably, and the green ones that were stolen by the Catholics. Blue and green were just forbidden colours. And they used to just cut the wires at night. You used to go in to fix things and just bare ends sticking out live, not in reach of the public. But yes. And then we put steel wire ropes on them, and then they'd still have a go. They'd hack and rip, and they'd just rip all the wiring out. It's just trying to get the parcels and steal them. George Square's cancelled this year virtual moments instead. They've switched it on, I've seen in the webcam. In fact, the monument's already gone out and then been reset. I think it's the strobes are tripping the monument out. Or someone's turning it off. Are you tempted to pee on the COVID test, Mrs. Cam? I don't think I've got that much control for putting 4 drops in. I think maybe a litre might overwhelm it. I went to Glasgow on the one day it was hot weather. Nice day to visit Glasgow, Brendan Perkins. I'm not going to vomit in the COVID test either. Gazareth, have I upset you? You're saying you're right, I'm off. Thanks to the stream, I'm kind of concerned. Santa just went past in his fire engine about 8 p.m. Oh, okay. I thought the Protestants were orange or that. I don't get involved in this. It's political. Hmm. But anyway, well, the conversation has gone in weird directions right now. I'll wait for sensible conversations to come back. I'm not going to do a poo in the COVID test or test the bear for COVID. I've already tested the bear for COVID. So far, it's looking quite promising. Political religious it's yeah. Let's not go there. It's too sport, religion, and politics. I'm not supposed to discuss these things. Ralph, have any good conspiracies? Nothing new recently. Any thoughts on Makita tools? I'm not sure what quality Makita are these days. I still use Ryobi because I started off with Ryobi because they were affordable. But I will absolutely state that the Ryobi battery connector, because they never thought it was going to evolve to the point that you were getting circular saws, the battery connector in the Ryobi tools is a 1 weak point, and it's the you kind of, I think Ryobi are trapped into keeping making that range of tools with that standard connector. It'd be nice to have a more robust connector that went into that. So I don't know. How is Ralphie? Ralphie is just Ralphie. That's fundamentally it. I've not seen him for a few days. More Brinky stuff's your distraction. Drew Dastardly, Embra accents are either quite posh. A proper Glaswegian accent is indecipherable to pretty much everyone, it is. But an Inverness accent is supposedly one of the purest versions of Queen English. Stehaich. Free energy of the Jewel Thief, alas not. It's not very efficient. Just because it's increasing the voltage doesn't mean it's increasing the power. Where can I get a Jesus Bear, says Scuba? You can get one on eBay. I think, not sure what it's called. Hold on. I'll post a link. Do I want to encourage them to sell these things? Hold on. Go to eBay. Purchase history. This will be exciting. Have I bought anything exciting recently? I don't want a survey. What the fuck? That's not what I wanted. Offer received. Oh, because I looked at something and they're sending offers out. No, I looked at a pair of Carhartt overalls, which are too small anyway for me, with tool belt, and it's the pouch overalls. I looked at it, and this is a used pair of overalls, remember, from America, and they're wanting more than it costs in America to buy a brand new pair because it's Americana. Oh, there's Carhartt vintage overalls as well. Snap-on beanie, that's right. Flavorings, yes. Nothing terribly technical yet. Filters, Christian toy, singing teddy bear Christmas gifts. Oh, and dangerous Christmas lights. Don't forget the dangerous Christmas lights. I've ordered some dangerous Christmas lights. Will we plug them in? So this is the singing teddy bear. 4 available, 8 sold. Buy another. No. Here's your singing teddy bear if you want a Christian teddy bear. They'll probably get really popular now. Stilton is the best cheese. Yeah, it is actually very good. Chuck Farley, that Veritasium video, the one that EEV blog Dave was talking about, to be honest, how's the test? The test is coming up to the conclusion it's a negative. I do not have COVID. I should hold up like that. It's better, isn't it? The alternative theory about electrical current, well, the snag is that the existing theory about electrical current is still a theory. Furbeard, Hagtide to play Relax by Frank Goes to Hollywood, which was playing in the local bar recently. Sam Watson, it is Jaeger time soon. I'm not pregnant. This is good. One moment, please. Have you seen the Poundland wireless charging clock? It is a temperature display. The only problem is when the LEDs are on at full power, the temp sensor goes up by 5 degrees Celsius. That doesn't seem like a good idea. But I'm not convinced about that electrical theory, and they're saying that the transatlantic phone line, they had problems. They couldn't get a very high speed through it. That was most likely capacitance. Troy Belding says, I got the smell of roasted varistas from a surge suppressor that a customer from a failed generator installed. Did anything else get damaged? Because that usually means the voltage went up very high. I think we discussed Mark Fix's stuff. His house didn't burn down recently. It burnt down some time ago. We talked about that in the past. I'm not going to get involved with this speculation on electrical, even if it's a fashionable thing and it gets lots of views. I'm not going to speculate in current flow with electricity. My approach to it is that I still believe that it's the equivalent of getting a tube with ping pong balls in it, representing loose electrons in the material. You push a ping pong ball in, another one pops out the other end. That is current flow. I'm not taken by this new theory. It seems very abstract, but having said that, since all our existing theory is theory, electrical theory. Anything could be right. It could all be wrong as well. All theories could be wrong. They could discover a material or a combination of materials that creates a electrical characteristic that we just never knew about before. Nothing can be ruled out. Antimatter. Just nothing can be ruled out. It can't all be wrong, and the theory would have no predictive value. It's based on what we know at present, and the whole thing about the rotating electrons causing rotating fields, I don't buy that, to be honest. I think there are flaws in existing electrical theory, because I don't think electrons just spin all the time to create that rotating magnetic field. But why, when current is flowing along a wire, does it create a field in a particular direction? I don't know. Neither do the scientists. But we're working in theories. To be honest, metaphysics is much more fun anyway. But I did find that was... Does anyone use annoying Christmas tree light flash patterns? No, which is why, Darren, that I wish they wouldn't default to it. I'll go and get a set of suitably dangerous Christmas lights. Here's your ASMR. That can go with the fire in the background. This is the UK compliant one because it has a square pin plug of unknown electrical quality. Is the fuse even going to be connected? We'll take the fuse out and we'll see if this is still light. And it has a slightly bigger controller, but it still has that grossly inadequate single insulated wiring that basically says, no, it's still electrically dangerous. Let us plug in. I shall plug in where the ozone generator goes. Yeah, they're going into automatic mode. I don't know if they get memory or not. Let's find out. Is this the one that... No, it's the one that it looks like it's lit solidly, but then it starts dimming down. That's the one, right? So is it going to reset? So this is like colourful stars on the end of things, right? Okay. So I'm going to unplug it now, and we'll see if it keeps its memory setting. Although it might be a time delay before it stores it. But let's unplug it. It does have a shrouded earth pin. You're right. It's non-compliant. Let's plug it in again. No, it didn't store it. Right. Let's take the fuse out and see if there's still light. Right now, in some places around Britain, these are being used outdoors in public spaces. The fake 13 amp fuse for a start. Thank you, Bwack. Right, that's the fuse holder out. Shall we plug it in again and see if it lights? That's the fuse out. Yeah, totally compliant. Well done, eBay. Good job on safety, you retards. And I mean retards and dragging safety backwards. Idiots. And yet it's still being sold. Does nobody do anything about this? Does nobody... How long has this been going on? There's no proper strain relief. It's single insulated wire. It's got a 13 amp fuse that isn't even connected anyway. It's got... Anyway, that'll make an interesting video. Oh, hold on. I'd better put the fuse back in. Maybe we'll take the fuse apart. I will take the fuse apart in the video. Do you think it's got sand in it? Do you think it's a proper HRC fuse? It doesn't really matter. It's not doing anything. Caveat emptor, that's what the CE means. Buyer beware. VDO screwdriver, VDE screwdriver, slightly grubby one. Vera. Spelt Wera. I think that's the correct pronunciation. But anyway, makes it exciting. And the fuse will never blow. Yay! That's just arrived days ago, so they're still doing it. But we save money, except you don't save that much money because it doesn't cost much more for a set. It costs something like £3 more for a set of the proper lights that are UK compliant with a low voltage transformer and everything. So at some point they should hold the directors of eBay responsible for accidents because they are facilitating the import of grey products. Fortunately, some of those are quite useful grey products. How to bypass the controller? Easy with that one, Darren. You replace it with a bridge rectifier, 240 volts onto the two AC lines, and then the other ones, you've got the common goes to the positive, and all the channels just twist together and go to the negative. But beware, you may have to put a capacitor in series to drop the current because the little resistors they use are probably just grossly overrated. Thank you, Sam Watson. How can people send you things to take apart? I'm curbing the amount of stuff I get at the moment because, like, there's just... When things arrive now, I'm like, I'll put this down there, or... No, there's nowhere to put things. It's full up. What's a good strategy for putting lights in a tree in Linux? Work out how many lights you've got and roughly get an idea of the tree coverage. I tend to start at the top and work my way down the tree, actually going round it. But it depends. If you're doing a municipal tree, if you take a look at the George Square webcam, you'll see how not to do it. Straight lines, top to bottom, lazy bastards. If you look at the historic George Square webcam, you'll see that straight lines, but then other sets just breaking the symmetry up so it looks random. But if you look at the ones in Ramsey that were done by Hoistline, you'll see they've actually done a really good job of the trees. They've actually spent a lot of time putting the lights in and out in the branches. They've got really good coverage. The trees look great. They always look great in Ramsey. They do a great job. Mike and Nigel usually do those. George Squee. It's like, squee! That's what I was like when I went there when I was young, Andrew Edis, because it was, or Edis. George Square was great. The council at George Square, they did a great job of the Christmas lights in the old days. So it is the Jaeger-Minion time. To the municipal Christmas light installers. What are the test results? The test results are a negative. I shall bin that now. I've done my scientific test. I feel like I've just wasted a test because I don't really have. Then again, you don't necessarily have symptoms. It's a very vivid line, that test line. That's pretty impressive. The chemical science in these, I'm going to open it up and take a look at the sticky strip out and all that. The science involved in these, it looks so simple. Just wicking along a bit of paper. The science is just ridiculous. Proper rocket science. They're all fake. They don't really test COVID. Yes, right. But yeah, just that wicking system. It's clever. Very clever. I know they can't really recycle them because they're contaminated to that point, but you think they could make them much smaller than this. They could make them tiny. They could use half the amount of plastic, but I suppose to a degree it has to be stable. Can you buy antibody tests? I suppose you can, but we're not really sure. £37 billion for an app. Yeah, that didn't work that well, Arcadia. There was some controversy in the UK regarding the handing out of money to a member of the House of Lords who spent quite a lot of money. But as long as they make money out of COVID, that's what the House of Lords are into. Now they're all upset because like they're losing money, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the lights that the Americans don't have yet. Rainbow lights. They're not the normal colours. They're not just the red, yellow, green, blue. Clive's perfect partner, robotic bear. Nah, voice the clan. Nobody. Solo. Why only 3 songs? I don't know why. It's not like memory's expensive. It's just like really cheap. Ungratifying, Teddy. Oh, but you do get the electronic Bible that has like just pretty much the whole Bible in it. That's pretty impressive. Technically, it's interesting. Right, how am I going to do this? Am I going to be able to... Right, okay. I'll tell you the colours. It's got purple and orange at this side, and it stores its last setting, and it's got pink and cyan at this side. That's not going to show up. That is Swampy Out Central. But the gist is the colours are really nice. It's not like normal Christmas lights. It's purple, pink, orange, and cyan. It's quite nice. And it stores the last setting in its controller, so it has the memory. This will be a 31 volt, 35 volt. Oh, secondary 32 volts. That might be the open circuit voltage of 35 volts. Do you know why it's that voltage? It's because the Christmas lights tend to be sold in multiples of 10. So you get, say, for instance, 50, 100, 200, 400, and so on. And they effectively wire 10 sections of lights in series to make up, and the LEDs are about 3 volts, so the 10 sections in series is about 30 volts. But each of those sections is a parallel string of LEDs, so it's like 10 parallel circuits in series to make up that 30 volts. And they can do interesting things with them. Kev B says, evening, late tonight, emerged electrical call out, faulty socket. Was it fizzing and buzzing and smoking? Or was it a USB socket? Did it go bang? I remember the Christmas lights we had in the 70s used to melt the plastic in the tree, but the lights did look great. They were good, Thomas McBurney, the big olivey lamps. Even in the UK, we had the big... The Americans won't really appreciate this to a degree because most of their lamps were the big lamps, the actual 120 volt lamps in parallel. Put the bear on the shelf behind you, and I'm not really sure I want it in permanent view, and there's not much room. Normal socket killed 2 TVs in a day. Pitted switch contacts are the arcing kills power supplies, Kev B. Thank you, Squeak. Thanks for all you do, Big Clive, and hello, gang. What's the hammer behind, Clive, says Sam Watson. That is a Arduino versus Evil copper hammer. Machined out of copper. Hmm. Make room. Yeah, there's this, my head is in most of that area. It would involve moving a supercomputer, and supercomputer is more important than religious bears. But the tree that we used to have when I was young, it had it had a Pifco string of the series 20 lamp, I think it was, screw-in lamps, the little tiny ones, the Lilliput lamps. But it also had the big olive lamps, and that it just meant there weren't many lights on the tree, but it looked fantastic. It smelt great as a real tree. It had the ornaments, just those lights, because it wasn't absolutely splattered with strobing LEDs and things like that. It looked good for it. Show your pinballs. The pinballs are around there, so they're out of sight. Remember silver trees? Well, they still do them. They do rainbow trees as well. PIFCO, the Provincial Incandescent Filament Co. was that. I shall put these lights through because I'm holding these lights. I shall have a sup and then put them through. You should watch Xenodilodon if you like lights. It's fanatical. Fittings. Oh, fittings company. All right, as opposed to filament. The bear could have a supercomputer inserted into it. That's true. I've got to get my string of retro bubble lights out of storage this year. They still sell the bubble lights in America. I don't know if the bear would. It would be straddling the. It would be straddling the fire extinguisher. Oh, I've just turned it on. Nope, I think. No, it's holding a magnet now. That's kind of working. That's kind of working. The bear looks like your brother Ralphie. Ralphie is most certainly not a bear. I have an Iowan Christmas tree with a colour wheel. Now, the first aluminium, the foil trees, did actually have an issue with the conductive stuff going into the lamp holders and going live. Of course, HVAC guys here, Bill. Word up maple syrup. Maple syrup? I do have maple syrup. Thank you, derogative peanut. What's the flag by the bear? It seems appropriate. Is actually, presumably it's a bear flag then, if it's next to the bear. I presume it's a bear flag. Maple syrup is nice. It's very nice. We get fake maple syrup here, but you get the real stuff as well, but you wonder if it's diluted. You never know. Is that conspiracy? Something else arrived. This. It looks okay. It's a sign for a taxi. I'm not sure where are Grab taxis. Are they in the UK? Are they in another country? Thank you again, derogative peanut. Are these? It is actually a bear flag. It is Sam Watson. It is the bear flag. But yeah, where's Grab? I don't know. It looks great. It lights green. It's very bright, but spoiler. Even at about 14 volts, the full charging voltage you'd expect in a vehicle, it's a maximum about 20 milliamps. But because it's green LEDs, it is quite ferocious. Oh, he's talking to Joe. All right, okay. Grab means grave in German. That's not necessarily a good thing, Mark and Gilly. Grabber in Asia, Malaysia, Singapore. All right, okay, so that's one of their signs. It is exactly what you'd expect. It's a 12-volt supply, single-sided circuit board, multiples of 3 LEDs, the resistor per multiple of 3 LEDs. Thank you, Derogative Peanut. Where'd the earth pin and the dangerous lights go? It's still there, but it's not connected to anything, so it doesn't matter that it's sleeved, but earth pin should not be sleeved normally. The plug should also be fused. Grab is a food delivery in Asia. All right, okay. Grab's tasty snacks. I'm just going to grab a pea. Ready? I'm going to grab my pea. Talk amongst yourselves or go for a pea break. It's an official pea break. I'll be back in a jiffy. So I just reinstalled MPLab 8, version 8, the microcontroller, the microchip programming suite for the PIC microcontrollers. I still use MPLab 8, even though it's theoretically out of date, because it's the last version I was really comfortable with, and when they changed it, suddenly for doing a simple task of programming microcontroller, it became complicated. But I have some experiments. But assembly, it's assembler I use. But because I cracked that in for programming the assembly code for this little PIC 12F629 for controlling the stepper motor driver for this roulette wheel, I think I might experiment with it. In that recent video, has it been released yet? The little controller for the Christmas lights that alternates the polarity. Has that been released? I'm not sure. But it looked like it was either a dedicated chip or it was abusing a microcontroller and just using 2 of the I/O pins. Aha. Curious HVACI. Go around, gents. Go gut a deer. Enjoy your deer. Tasty. But it looked as though it was just using 2 pins in the microcontroller to drive the LEDs directly and actually pump about 60 milliamps from those pins, which is a bit naughty. But you know what? I'm tempted to write a bit of code. It's not going to be hard. It's literally going to be one delay routine, if that, and just toggling 2 bits alternately just to actually get the 2 polarity Christmas strings, the low voltage ones, running. I'll see what happens. Brendan Elton, the background fire's flames are very cyclic. That video will reveal why. It's been released, is it not? The fireplace video, I'm pretty sure that one's been released. You can see what's inside it. Has it been released? I've lost track of what's released. Oh, it was released 1 day ago. It wasn't released 1 day ago, was it? It is released, yep, okay. And you'd released it on Patreon, but I think I released it for general viewing. At the moment, because of stuff that's been going on, I haven't been putting out a huge number of videos, but some like the videos you're seeing released on the main channel are not too far. They're about at least probably a week and a half away from when they're recorded and released on Patreon. Have I washed my willy today, Luke R? I've not necessarily washed my willy today, no. But it is cyclic because it is a rotating drum inside. Very clever, very simple. Have you ever used JAL to program picks? I have not, Thomas, and it's always been assembler because when I started, that's the only option there was to program pick microcontrollers was assembly code. So once you've learned to do it, it's just, well, it's easy-ish to program an assembler. Oh, looked for Fireplace and Ali and eBay, but all worth greater than $30. Maybe the shipping because of the size, but it's 20 quid from the local Jack store. I will not be taking the bear to bed to cuddle, no. I shall have more whiskey. Whiskey. And not iron brew, cream soda. Higher level languages, they are inefficient, Raven Looney. If you can program simple applications, I mean, there's certain applications as demonstrated by Arduino where it's just, you need displays and buttons and stuff like that. And there's a lot. It makes it just simpler to program when you use those existing libraries of routines. But assembly code can crush an awful lot of code into a small space, and it runs a lot faster. If anything, for that alternating the LED thing is literally just going to be a few lines. It's going to be setting, I might move, say for instance, I'll probably just toggle bits. Bit set file, bit clear file, and then call delay, and then if that, even if I have to call a delay, string of nops you could do. Depends on what frequency output I want. The processor will probably hobble down deliberately to its lowest processor speed just to make it easier to write the delays. When you have to slow the processor down, yeah, that's good programming. Riley Boy says, do a video on cheap Christmas lights so I can show knuts. Yeah. Rule number 1 of public Christmas lighting, 24 volts at ground level. And I see lots of 240 volt stuff being put in. It may well have transformers and power supplies on it, but you've got 240 at ground level. And is it being protected by the right RCD? Because the first thing that happens with rope light is, or the other stuff, is it hits a bridge rectifier for the rope light, which is easy to chaff. And that means it's pulsing DC. So is it the Type A circuit breaker you've got in that? Oh, no, it's not. It's the cheapest one they could, and it kept tripping, so they shorted it out. Yes, mumble, mumble, mumble. Thank you, Squeak. It's just jump to the left. Let's do assembly. It is. Assembly, quite hard to get a hold of, a grip with it first, but then once you start doing it, it's all right. But you have to understand the chip completely, how it works. Mini Peter needs a new battery. It is going a bit dim, is it not? It's still bright to look at, but it's just because it's got the studio lighting type stuff. Put your hands on your hips, what like that, and do the time warp. And bend your knees in time indeed. Let's do the time warp tonight. Or whatever the word, I can't remember the songs. I use Z18 EEPROM for a controller, Franco Walker says. The microcontrollers fit everything into the one thing. Do you know the reason I started with PICs in the first place was because the Farnell catalogue came through and in the back was an advert for Arizona Microchip, microcontroller, now known as just Microchip. They were the first to make affordable programming systems and development suites. The development suite was free, um, and the programmer, it could only program 4 chips. The EEPROM and the non-EEPROM versions, PIC16C54 and PIC16C56. Um, but back then it was quite a big thing. And that's why everybody started using microcontrollers, because you didn't need the £10,000 development system like previous ones did. And then suddenly Microchip were selling tons of microcontrollers because like all the students could afford the programming gear. And once you start with a process, you tend to stick with it. I know, Mike Rook, the cool kids use 32-bit microcontrollers in Python these days to blink LEDs. It's like the supercomputer. But can't you do it with an Arduino? Yes, but you could do it with a box of flashing LEDs. It'd be like cheaper and simpler and more random. You don't have to understand the chip necessarily, Reverend Flatus. I did assemble on IBM mainframe, had no idea of the underlying architecture. It was all defined in the microcode. Okay. But when you're actually toggling bits on the output and output, the general purpose I/O register, the file, it does help to think in binary and hexadecimal at times, and how those files are correlate to each other. Not an easy thing to learn initially. The first thing you do is try and get an LED to light, the hello world thing. That's kind of important. Miss Dreadcake says, my mini pewter has died. Is the battery flat? The RP204 is under £1. RP240. RP240. Oh, the little... It's not under, but unless it's the ones they're selling on eBay. Are they selling the little USB single, but basically a little mini Arduino thing? I've got some of those here somewhere. The little ones that are plugged directly into the port. Hold on. It must be in here. I'm going to rake through this if I can find it. Oh, there it is. Oh, that was easy. It's an Arduino that plugs into a USB connector directly, which means you can also power it direct from a power bank. Well, while I've got that out, how thick is the circuit board material? If it's 2mm thick, I think that's the biggest that GLC PCB do. Oh, GLC PCB, by the way. If you're using any of the zip files I've supplied, they've changed something, and the industry standard references to the different layers, the extensions, the file extensions, that identify a type of file. They're all Gerber files, but they've changed something, and now it doesn't recognize the outline. It still recognizes this little Gerber viewer, and they will actually process it properly if you put it through, but it can't get the measurements off it until you change the outline from whatever it is GMO or something to GKO. So if you've got the files and it's not accepted in GLC PCB, you're going to have to change the outline to outline.gko to actually get it to understand it. They've shuffled something. Now, I was going to check something this with calipers. Have they used 2mm laminate, or is it thicker? Hopefully not thicker than 2mm. 2.1. Yeah, 2mm might do it. I shall consider this. Another design to send in for manufacture. Okay, 2mm. Does that really fit okay? I have a USB connector here. I shall stuff it into it and go by feel of the connectors. It's a very loose fit. No, that's too thin. 2mm is actually too thin as far as I'm concerned for that. That's annoying. Wobbly computers. We don't want wobbly computers. We already did that with the ZX81 RAM packs. Could you do with a load of 555 timers? You could do the supercomputer with a load of 555 timers. It would require Well, this one here would require 144 555 timers, 144 capacitors, and approximately 288 resistors plus an output resistor. So, yeah, another 144 resistors. So let's just go with flashing LEDs. It's easier. The Arduino drawer is full up to the brim, although I don't actually even use the Arduinos. I was going to say I don't use them much, but I don't use them at all yet. Then I'll click and then I'll be using it all the time. Like the 3D printer, I didn't really click with 3D printing straight away. I was just using other people's stuff, other people's files, the STL files, and then I suddenly clicked with it. Bicar says, I like those DigiSpark boards, dirt cheap and mighty useful. Most of them are clones of the original design though, aren't they? Cambridge Mart says, I've had some issues with outlines too. Woofle time, it's woofle, right? Tell you what, I'll put this through and I shall woofle. Stand by for a woofle. Woofling. Nice. Woofle. Big winter woofles. The winter woofles are bigger because it's not as hot. The summer woofles at the peak were just unpleasant. They were too hot. Chipmunk saying, Human Seagull, I can program Arduinos, but it's hardly electronics. It is actually electronics. The chip itself, the microcontroller at Raspberry Pi Foundation created for the Pico. Oh, the dedicated Pi microcontroller. James Harris. The ESPs are just bizarre. Those little circuit boards, those little computers that do all the Wi-Fi and stuff. They're quite tempting. Good evening back to Troon, the Behringer sniper. But I noticed that a lot of the time I went onto GLC recently, it wasn't even working from one of my computers. I think it was the Windows computer. It just said they were working on their site and couldn't use it. I don't know if they were actually working their site or there was just a hang on, something was stuck in a cache. I'm not really sure. But it seemed to go on for a long time. So it probably was. Well, thank you. Greetings back to Troon, the Behringer sniper. Cambridge Mart, LM3909. Yeah, there is a problem with that, Cambridge Mart. The LM3909 is available on eBay, even though it's discontinued. I don't know if it's a real one or if it's a copy, but they are about £5 each. And that would be £5 times 144, plus the cost of the circuit board and the LED and the components. Not good. It certainly run for a long time, the battery. Thank you, Neil, to me. I recently had a bat go nuclear. How to dispose? What? Oh, a battery. Oh, right, okay. Is the battery, did it actually discharge fully? If it's discharged fully, it's relatively inert. It could theoretically go in the bin because there's not a huge amount of terrible things in them, particularly if it went nuclear. But if in doubt, if it's not fully discharged, I would say stick it in a little metal container and leave it outside where it can't set fire to stuff. I'm not sure I'd take it and put it in the battery recycling things in the shop if it's all burnt and charred or smoke's coming out it. Smoke's coming out and can I put it in your battery recycling? No. Darren Eger, bin it, ultimately, fundamentally. But don't put fully charged ones in the bins because they will set fire to the stuff in bin trucks and things like that. That's not good. But the materials in lithium batteries are actually surprisingly inert. People will pull me up on the the cobalt-based one, but largely aluminium, graphite, and copper, and that cobalt one. But they're really down-to-earth batteries. They're not full of really noxious stuff. Explosion containment pipe plates are as featured in the Patreon stream. Actually, that's not very ringy. A communion plate, a church communion plate. What does it say in the back? It says Van Pins, London. Van Pems, London. Never heard of them. I got this at market. It was from a church. They were selling loads of artifacts. They hadn't been stolen from the church. The church had closed down. It could be a brass hat. I'm not really sure. A very cold hat. It would probably fit. Hold on, I'm just going to try it for size. No, it doesn't quite fit. But it does look like a religious, stolen from church. I don't think it's stolen from a church. They said it was a church that had closed down. Maybe it was stolen. I also got a complete communion set from them. The bear just moved, probably. It disproves. I'm definitely going to hell. I've been going to hell since I was born, so I'm not really bothered about that. Ask the bear. He says it is stolen and God will punish me. Oh well. Church closed down because everything was stolen. It's just one of the many churches that went bust because they're lots of churches they do close because they're basically speaking their congregation all die fundamentally. They didn't do themselves any favors in recruiting in the way they did, but not to worry. That's religious talk. Do you know you can buy cassocks and everything you want, including the big papal hats, the big priest hats? You can buy them online. The real ones, they're quite expensive. But you can go a little bit more money and you can get the gold trim round it. And it's like, I'm so important. Yes, bow to me, kiss my ring. What's in the bottom of my glass? Electronics, courtesy of Evolution. It lights up. It's got an ultraviolet light source in it, which doesn't work with the ginger beer. And a switch, so it always goes off when you put it down, which is very good because it saves the battery. Works best with fluorescent things. You can get ordained online. Yes, indeed. I am actually Reverend Clive. I did that a long, long time ago. Why were you searching for that? I'm not sure. Why? Yeah, I don't know why. But the communion stuff is great for like mini shots. Because the little communion cups that you can get online, the disposable ones, the plastic ones, they actually hold, they're the Jägermunion cups. They hold, and I do wash them afterwards, I don't just dispose them. They hold basically a quarter of a shot, which is a bit disappointing. It's basically a thimble film. But that makes for fun party things. It doesn't have to be. The church doesn't have the exclusive rights to such things like that. You can do marriage things. I can, technically speaking, Blur. I can marry people. Why would I want to do that to them? Do you use your new yes, indeed, Mouse. I beat you to it. I do wash them because I just don't like throwing too much plastic out. Thank you, Peter Harkins. Still no sign of a teardown of the LED optical pedestrian. The communion thing has just taken life of its own. Still no teardown of the optical pedestrian sensor that I have not taken it down yet. Is the sensors visible in the side? No, not. It depends on how the. But yes, it is going to get taken apart at some point. It is definitely in the queue for being taken apart. From Peter. I've got your name written on it here. It reminds me. Peter, it might remind you of this thing with all the LEDs at the back. It's a similar principle, that it's firing out multiple infrared beams like this. Can I plug this in? I'm not sure what colour this is. Is it flickering? Oh, it's colour changing. But you're not going to see all the dots because, yeah, you're not going to see the dots because it's too close. But it's the same principle that it puts out a series of dots like that and looks for disturbances. It's an interesting device. The bear's creeping me out. Okay, I shall move the bear if it's creeping me out. But it wants you to know. Right. We can see dots. You did. But there we go. You saw dots. Just like when you buy a cheap laser pointer, Stephen Burton. But yes. No, I've not. Well, Wiggly Videos, I don't actually have a nail gun. That's one thing I was just so tempted. I thought that's one tool. That's another category of tools. Tools you really want and you think, I just want it because I've seen that person using it. It looks great. And I know I'm never going to use it. I can't justify it. It would be used for one job and that would be it. Yeah. Squeak, to hell with all my friends. We words woof. Yes. Oh, Gas Masher, your pine soldier arm just crashed. See, this is a problem with stuffing powerful microcontrollers into things. They can crash. Beartastic is off to bed. Pillow time. 15 minutes left? 15 minutes left till the hour, yes. I bought a Fleur because of you. Do you know why I bought a Fleur, Mr. Tridac? It was Mike's Electric stuff is why I bought the Fleur cam in the first place. I'd been so tempted, and he did a teardown on it, the Fleur E4. Let me grab the Fleur E4. The Fleur E4 with its special battery that looks like a 18650 inside. What do you reckon, perhaps? The reason I bought this one is because Mike's Electric stuff did a video about them. And he did a complete teardown on it, which is quite bold for something that cost as much as this did. And I'd be looking at it thinking, oh, I really want one of those. But I couldn't justify. Oh, yeah, Mike's Electric stuff. I know. Your ears are burning. And he took it apart, including forcing a bit off that he discovered the hidden screw afterwards. And I was thinking, fuck it, I'm going to buy one. And I was so close, I was just on the edge. And then Mike dumped the code out. He went into the serial network and showed the serial port. And it showed the booting up sequence and what was disabled and what was enabled. And then he discovered that it was actually a full resolution. It wasn't just 80 by 60. It was 320 by 240, but it had been hobbled to make it the cheaper model. And that's when the EEV blog forum just went to town on it. And someone wrote a script for the conversion. I ended up buying one, ran the script, and suddenly it's like, I have vision. And such a useful device. Absolutely great. That's also why my phone has thermal imaging in it. Because thermal imaging is a requirement these days. It's very useful. Oscilloscope or thermal imager? There's a question. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I'm going to do that as a poll. One of Mike's Electric Stuff's immense teardowns. Oh, and of course, you actually wrote some code to use one of their their lepton sensor, didn't you? Well, they got in touch with you. I wonder what that was about. I didn't hear much about that. Were they nasty about it? Not sure. Hold on, I'm putting the poll up. Which is more important? It's tricky. It's a really hard one because, to be honest, it's not even a proper question, is it? Because each has their own application. Obviously, the first thing you get electronically is a multimeter. Scope, thermal imager. Ask the community. They are so different. Mouse. It's like asking you a spanner or a screwdriver, and it's, well, that depends on the job, really. Let's just say £1,000 tool, and you're trying to choose. It's pretty tricky. Don't have either. No idea, says Furbear. For few, Furbear, I think you'd love a thermal imaging camera. It is a very hard question because, yeah, both, but you've only got £1,000 or $1,000 to spend. Are you going to buy the scope or are you going to buy the thermal imaging camera? Tricky. Nothing wrong with the little plug-in thermal imaging cameras for your phones. Except Joe of HVAC North found that the one he got for his phone, he switched to Apple and now can't use it because it's a completely incompatible connector. Technically speaking, yes, £1,000 would buy you both these days, but in the past it didn't. That one cost well over £1,000. A Fleur representative did get in touch and offered me a used Fleur scope for the channel for publicity. He didn't realise that I already did it. The scope is winning. I'm not surprised in a way, but having said that, I've got mixed thoughts, and it was it was an inappropriate question. It doesn't work. For £1,000 these days, you're going to get both at a lower resolution, perhaps a lower frequency response and quality of scope, but it's still going to be usable. You can get a phone on, you can indeed. My phone is one built in. Very, very useful. Mike says, I did exchange a few messages with Fleur CEO. Nothing nasty. He was very cautious about what he said. I got a feeling they were not entirely unhappy about how many E4s they sold as a result. That they just, technically speaking, the sales of the E4s just went through the roof at that point in time. But I don't think they were bothered because now all the technical people for home had these thermal imaging cameras, which were still quite expensive. And you couldn't use one professionally because technically speaking, you couldn't officially certify the calibration and tick that box in the red tape. And they know that people who then go to work will want the full 240 by 480 resolution, or 320 by 240, should I say, and that they'll go for the Fleur E8. So, win-win. But it was interesting. They did sell lots. I bought one. Will the oscilloscope for $400 very capable? They are. They are indeed. Is your phone JCB one? The first one was. I have to say it was fine, but the firmware was awful. It's did students write it? It just wasn't good firmware. The BV9900 Pro is my daily driver phone. It's the one I use all the time. But it's the typical Chinese phone manufacturer. There's your phone, we're on to the next model, deal with it yourself. But that's the usual thing. There's no sort of support as such. But that's fine. It was extremely affordable. It wasn't a gift. I prefer to buy things like that. That said, I did accept these gifts. These are all gifts. But in a different way. Are the little mini scopes any good? They're okay for some applications, Kendar, but they can be quirky. It's BBP. The Cat's 61 had terrible firmware and they never really fixed it. They didn't just not fix it, they kind of just made it worse. It's like, I guess everybody who worked at Cat, it's Bullet, didn't actually use their own phones, because if they used their own phones, they'd be saying, oh, really, we have to fix this because the firmware is a bit shit. As in, like, making the phone very basic indeed and hobbling it, and it could have been a great phone. The BV9900 Pro. The BV Big Brick phone with a cover to make it even bigger of a bricker. It comes with stock Android. So you get the standard Android experience. And it's fine. It's absolutely perfect. Also, if you take off this rubber cover on the back, apparently I've not done it yet, not had to do it yet. It's been fine. If you peel off, you heat it up a bit, put it on a hot plate briefly, but not too hot, and then peel this off, it reveals screws, so you can actually unscrew it and actually then separate it. I've not tested its waterproof ability. They claim it's completely waterproof. I've not tested that. It's been fine. I've got no problems with this. It's been a great phone. And it's got thermal imaging. The scope is 1. I'm not really surprised. Oscilloscopes can't find a loose connection electrical panel, Neil McLaren, but this can. Do you know, I often think, imagine it didn't happen, but imagine if you were back in the 1960s with one of these. You'd go into a control panel in, say, the old electromechanical control systems. You'd be just checking it out thermally before you even started looking for bad contacts. Even like, say, for instance, a pinball machine that's got a bad contact these days, an electromechanical one. You could go with the thermal image camera, you can see where the hotspot is. Fantastic. But every application has its own thing. Scrolling up and down here. I looked at the Ulefone armor. I ordered the Ulefone armor. The order was taken, I paid with Banggood, and then they got in touch and said they couldn't ship to Isle of Man, and that was it. Goodbye review. Fuck them. They keep getting in touch saying, hey, do you want to review our phones? And it's like, it's the same thing seems to apply, so no. No, I don't. And none of the phones they offer have thermal imaging. They're not really on the ball there, are they? Oh, Mike's Electric stuff, I remember that. That partway through the whole EEV blog hacking quest, I got a mystery box covered with floor parcel tape. Was it a bomb? You'd be worried. It turned out to be a soft case they sent me after my review of it before teardown. The big, hard plastic box. The camera's never been in it again. It just takes up space. The hard boxes, it's like you get tools in hard boxes and they never go back in them because, like, well, it just eats space. And mouse, the thermal imaging cameras, the prices crashed. They may seem expensive. You know, it's £300 for an imaging module. It used to be £3,000 for an imaging module not that long ago for a lower resolution one. Oh. A local heat engineer gave me a Nest thermostat to take a look at, just because it's dead and he just got a replacement anyway. He says another one's died and it was about 2.5 years, and I was saying, sadly, that's about right for electronic equipment now. Your thermostat will last 2.5 years. Oh, James Wood 3D printed a bunch of hard cases. That's big. For certain things like my calipers and micrometers and fittings because the blow molded cases were just too big. Absolutely. If you can make a little clamshell that just protects all the crucial bits and just that's it, minimum spacing, it's good. Oh, Norm Swan, we would have been burned for being a witch in the 60s with a thermal imaging camera. God, pulling out your mobile phone would have got you burned as a witch at times. And I would say the E4 was a turning point for cheap thermal imaging cameras. It was. Then seek now China. And China, it's evolving. I'm watching that. I'm looking at how the Chinese modules are increasing in resolution and thinking, how reliable are they going to be? I think they're going to be reliable, but they're getting cheaper and cheaper, and soon it's going to be the iPhones will even come with them built in them. So they can look at their coffee cups in the coffee shop and their cats and dogs. Kurt says, my thermostat uses mercury switch and is still in service 50 years later. They're indestructible. Although Adam of HVAC Overtime was saying he had seemingly had something latch on with a mercury thermostat. I'm not sure it was that though. Mercury switches were banned for being far too good, like their tilt switches and vibration switches. Pity about the stupid ITAR nonsense that limits TIC frame rate. Basically speaking, that's the military application in case you attach it to your gun and then shoot anything that glows. It's just the same thing that happened with the... Many of you won't even realise this because if you're young, the GPS system, the global positioning system, used to be hobbled so you couldn't get an accurate readout. Because it was thought that it could be used to guide DIY bombs or something, or, I don't know. No, it was supposed to be to stop bomb guidance systems. But then they won out in the end, and now we can send our bombs to their exact location. It doesn't matter. We've got drones, and they can actually go by a picture of the target, so that's fine. Kind of like stuff like that. It's bad, but it's nice. Oh, it's the heat-seeking missiles. Really? Oh, the military, they're just playing wars. It's fine. More whiskey. Can still get mercury thermostats in the US. You can go online and you can buy a packet of mercury tilt switches from eBay right now. They do them in 2 different diameters. It doesn't really matter what you order. You're going to get the one they send you. That's what I found. Let's see if I can find my mercury switches. No, I didn't. I found tons of LEDs, but no mercury switches. I suppose I should add some cream soda to this whiskey before I drink it to make it last longer. Shot time. It is shot time. A few years ago, I did a display system in the Science Museum, used a mercury wetted slip ring. Thought it best, absolutely. But it's the best way to get uninterrupted data and video signals through. They used to be just the best slip rings because it was liquid contacts. And mercury isn't harmful in its liquid form. It's in its organic forms or its like vapor form that it causes a problem. I'm going to embarrass someone now. To Mike's Electric stuff for doing fantastic teardowns of really interesting and big equipment. To Mike. We do feel guilty, Mike, that you damaged our thermal imaging camera trying to get that little cover off and then found the screw later on. But you know what? It's collateral damage. It didn't damage it. It's worse when you actually take it apart and there's loud crack noise and something really important gets broken inside. What's the highest frequency I've played with? It's hard to say, Nuts and Proud, because I don't know the frequencies that I was using in my high frequency inverters that drove neon tubes. I don't know because I didn't have anything to test them with at the time. Mercury wetter, slipping sounds just dirty. Yeah. But for a while, there was an instant then that in the past, if it really happened, they injected mercury into oranges in supermarkets. There's some organisation did this. Do you think they'd actually go in the supermarket with a syringe and injecting it in, or do you think it was hype? But anyway, it was all this hype about mercury injected oranges. But if you eat mercury, it doesn't necessarily do an awful lot. They used to give it as medicine in the past. But the Hatters went mad because they used hot mercury and the vapor. They were breathing mercury vapor all the day. Brendan Elton, Sir Clive, if you could wire your own house, what do you mean if I could? If I did wire it, would you use alternative voltage lights, 12 or 24 volts? At the moment, I'd still use the 240 volts because that's what everything's geared up for. But if I was going to put an auxiliary system in, it would be 24 volts probably, just because that keeps the current down. Then is NBC getting together for Christmas? We will have one before Christmas, but me and Ralph will be doing a Christmas Eve stream, so you'll have to deal with a twat in the hat for your Christmas Eve entertainment. But we'll try and make it entertaining. The problem with DC is that you can't go far without run the wire size up enormously, try building, but the upside is the LED lamps don't really draw too much current. Maybe 48 volts will be a more sensible option for that. 48 volts DC, pulse modulation. At school, we did a barometer. Yeah, we did the mercury and everything. It was skittering all over the bench, and it was like, yay, mercury! Mercury is great. Fuck all those hippies that say, no, it's dangerous. Don't touch it. Everybody's going to die. Yes, indeed. Ralph can tell about theories. I'll give him a drink beforehand. Maybe that'll chill him out. Not really sure. New York had an elevator selector that used ceramic cups of mercury and flopped finger contacts in it. Spilled mercury all over and had to refill the cups. Oh, lovely. We can go one better than that, Norm Swan. Glasgow Central Station had a moving message display sign based on tungsten lamps, and it was really so far ahead of its time. I mean, I'm talking like I was like 3 or 4 years old and going, look at the pretty lights. So we're talking 1960s. I later, when I was getting neon made by the Neon Workshop in Glasgow, I chatted to Donald. In hindsight, I wish I'd known I'd go back in time. I'd record the conversations with Donald because he was a veteran of the sign industry. Thank you, no one. I just finished building a new 3D printer anyway. Another donation to the filament funds. Thank you. But this sign, do you know how it worked? Now, there were a few technologies used that were non-electronic. One was literally chains with metal letters actually clipped on, and the letters effectively grounded the backs of the lamps. There were little spring contacts, and as the metal letters passed the back of the lamps, it made them light up. So it was moving metal contacts to actually scroll letters along the signs. But someone had to go effectively up in the roof or in a room in the roof, and they had to change all those metal letters and stop the sign to do so, and then turn the power back on again. This one, also you had to stop it. The one in Glasgow Central Station, they used plasticized paper and they physically cut the letters out with sharp knives, scalpels like Mike's electric stuff uses. And they joined it in a big conveyor and they looped it over almost like a film, and they placed it under this sheet of nylon with metal pin studs, little studs flush the surface. and then wound it down into a huge vat of mercury. And as the letters were dragged through with pinch rollers by a motor, wherever the letters exposed the mercury to the pins, that's where it conducted. And you're thinking, doesn't that? I'm not sure. It must have been fairly thick plasticized paper or fibers to avoid ripping. But Donald said that when he went down to service it, they had it in a sort of basement level in Central Station. He said when you went downstairs, you could see the mercury skittling down the steps in front of you. And the guys that were cutting there were several people involved in this. They were in a room cutting the letters, and the door, they were supposed to keep it closed to keep the mercury vapor in, but the door was just left open, and they'd go for medical tests, and if they had too much mercury in their system, they'd get a wee holiday from the job, and it's like, really? And then when they got rid of that moving message sign, it was sold to I think it was an Arabia or something like that. It was sold to a hot country where there's going to be loads of mercury vapor in the air. And it was like, really? Interesting. I bought an old machinist box. In the box was a 2-ounce jar of mercury. It's still used, Mr. Phil. They still make neon. So they still need the mercury for the argon mercury tubes. Did you ever go in the Metro Mini underground tube train? No, I didn't. I mean, I've been in the Glasgow Underground. Cambridge Mark, we visited a lighthouse in Norfolk that was no longer used. Thieves stole all the mercury by pouring it down the watered down pipes and put it in empty Coke bottles. The mercury was used as basically a liquid bearing, a metal bearing for the lighthouses. Another place it was used was in mirrors. You'd get mirrors that were 2 layers of glass with mercury between them. And if they broke, it was just mercury was pouring everywhere. The old Glasgow subway looked fun. The old one was very rickety. The lights used to go out all the time, but I loved the old one because it was really shaky. The new one's a bit too slick and smooth. It's also extremely fast because I believe the Glasgow Underground was originally a rope-driven system, and to facilitate that at the stations, to facilitate actually taking a load off the system, when you leave the station, it goes downhill, and to help it brake, as you come up to a station, it goes uphill. So now they're electric, and it's an old electric system now. It's like it's been around for a long time. I know someone from like when I was a kid who was involved in the modernisation of it. It is capable of running fully automatic, but they can't do that because drunks climb down the tracks and it doesn't have anything to sense them. It would literally just smash them up. But because it starts downhill and because it brakes uphill, when it takes off, you have to, if you go in the Glasgow Underground, sit down immediately. Do not stay standing. Or if you are standing, use 2 hands to grip onto the handrail because when it takes off, it's like a bat out of hell. It just, honestly, it's such a fast acceleration. Most mercury I've seen was in a steelworks lab blast furnace simulator. Never saw it run. The storage tank was at least 1 metre by 1 metre by 1 metre. Technically speaking, the most mercury I've seen in one place that I can think of was the first day at the steelworks. Thank you, Squeak. Freddie Mercury. It is connected. But in the steelworks, I didn't realise that was the biggest mercury rectifier I've seen in my life because I didn't know what they were. And it was the DC hall, and it was all slate switchgear with knife switches and the big Frankenstein dials. But this thing, I thought it was made of metal because it was like metallic looking and it was all covered in dust. I didn't realise that the substation outside was feeding the mercury rectifier that was then feeding the DC hall. That would have been great to see running. But the wells in the Glasgow Underground are like 5 feet deep. They'd be fine. Phenotical. Glasgow Underground, I've seen bits that flood a bit. London subway has ramps at stations to save brakes and energy. It does. It's a sensible thing. I wonder if that came from the Glasgow system's accidental coincidence that it just suited the... But to give you an idea of... I once appeared in an advert for Tenants where part of it was filmed in Glasgow Underground and to actually facilitate the fact that the train would pull in, then everybody'd pile off the train, they'd all run out the exit really quickly. So it was a fully loaded train full of extras. And I was the guy sitting on the platform waiting for the train, then a bit surprised that what happens as they do in these adverts. But it was great because every time it was full of people. Kenneth Evoy, or Evoy, says, "Hi, Lindsay." Uh-huh. But to do that, they filled the train at the platform. They reversed the train downhill in the tunnel that would be arriving. And then they had to pull in. But to do so, it had to go a wee bit further back. And because it was starting uphill with a full load, the sparks were amazing. You could see the whole tunnel was going with the blue sparks. Probably not great for the system. The subway may well still have a mercury rectifier for the old elevators and stuff like that, Gazyoung Live. I've seen that on YouTube, but I don't know if it's still in place. It was Fran Ferdinand were the other people in that ad. It was I got sacked off that job because I was sticking. They were trying to do it CGI, overlaying multiple takes to make it look bigger. Actually, it was just edited then. I don't think it was CGI, but because I was really big, I stuck up amongst others, and you could go "Oh, there's Big Clive," and "Oh, there he is again. There he is again." So they thought, no, we don't want people that stick out like that. Scruff Dog, side note, my house has a layer of asbestos siding. Underneath it, I'm in siding all sides. If I ever need to get new siding in my house, it starts the 30,000 asbestos removal and disposal. Yeah, there may be ways around that. If it's a solid sheet asbestos, you could theoretically, if you look up the regulations, remove it yourself, just get a paper boiler set and mask, etc. It's probably the chrysotile, but I can't really tell from here, obviously. Yeah. That's the same reason I could do with new fascias on the house. I've already replaced a section. I'll probably have to do the rest myself because it's also potentially asbestos. But the solid sheet asbestos. The stream will end on the half hour of the woofle. Photon does have some good mercury rectifiers, but they take up so much space. Would be great to see the IOM tramway rectifiers. They are safe, Zadster. They've been put into storage. Brent Elton is 240 volt. The amperage that goes along with it outdated. It's not. Do you think that modern houses could use lower voltage appliances? Not really, because a lot of the appliances, keep in mind that the way we work in the UK, well, the whole electrical system is we have 240 volt single phase, supposedly 230 according to the European new standard that just basically, it doesn't really, it's still 240. I go by real voltages, not paperwork voltages. But our system is 24415, three-phase. That's it. It doesn't matter where you are. It's only in specialist applications you'll find unusual voltages. But for industrial or domestic, for home use gets a single phase, industrial gets the three phases. That's it. So 240 is handy because our ring mains, our ring final circuits, the socket that I just plugged those fairlights into, I can also plug a washing machine into it, or I could plug a tumble dryer or an electric cooker or a microwave or a kettle, a 3 kilowatt kettle. You can just take it anywhere in the house and plug it in without having to worry about the power because they are rated for up to about 3 kilowatts per outlet. Subway is the fastest way from Buchanan Street to Govan. It is. It's a fast way to get around Glasgow. The Glasgow Underground is just two loops, an inner and an outer. That is it. It's just two circles that are next to each other. And it only takes about 20 minutes to go the full route, I think. It's not that far. But it connects a lot of Glasgow. Nice if it went further, but it doesn't. And extending it these days would cost unbelievable amounts of money because of all the useless white hats that got involved. Philip Carpenter says, what's a siding? I believe that may be the wooden panel inside the house, or is that the fascia? I'm not really sure. It might be the fascia, which is a bit under the roof. The soffit is the bit underneath that, which is what I've got, which I think is asbestos. It feels like asbestos when I poked a screwdriver through it. The bear flag is not purple. It is not purple. Above the transom. Wet down the asbestos first to keep down dust. It's more than that, Assassin Lex. You wet it down with a mixture of water and PVA glue, which actually binds it. Ola Hamstrom says, I got a 3-phase and ground on metal glove. No neutral here, all good. Oh, okay. Wish I had 3-phase. Mike's Electric stuff, this new workshop, I get it as 3-phase, but it's not in. They've taken the 3-phase meters out and replaced it with single-phase, but 3-phase would be useful for higher power stuff. Steve B says we've been down to 200 volts today. Is that due to the storms knocking stuff down? But then Mike's Electric stuff would be dangerous with 3-phase. It'd probably use a 6-diode rectifier and use it to charge big capacitors. Pelmet, what a word. It's a pelmet. This house had loads of curtains with pelmets. They were hideous. They honestly looked like someone had stapled a hooker's skirt all above the windows. They were so, when I finally got around to taking them down because I was sick of spiders dropping out of them, it looked so much nicer looking at bare wall than it was looking at basically hooker's clothing. Next thing I saw, I always wanted to make a 3-phase kettle. You get 3-phase elements. Would they fit in a kettle? It'd be fast. That'd be tea in a jiffy, quite frankly. Hooker skirts round the windows, indeed. I think I've still got a bit of the hooker skirt material. I can't really get it right now because there is a roulette wheel in the way, so I can't grab the hooker skirt material. Most of it went in the bin. Troy Bell and 3-phase tea sounds like a scalding explosion. It would get steamy. Thank you, steamy or stymie. I found that the purple LED streetlight in front of my house is a manufacturer defect. Maybe think of you, it's an issue all across the USA. It's the purple colour you're seeing is most likely the stimulating colour behind the phosphors, and the phosphors have degraded, and all you're seeing is a dull, muted purple from the LED. It's drawing the same amount of power, probably. Use 3 240-volt elements in Delta. That would be quite powerful. Phenotico says, why is it purple? I've just explained that, but why shop lighting, LED, state of the art, save all the power while it gradually went grey looking from warm white, it gradually went bluer and bluer till it looked like grey light. It happened to my backlit TV. Purple stripes are the same thing. It sounds similar, if it's like the illumination at the back looks like that, unless it's something that's happened on the screen itself. How does a Mercury rectifier work? My C Prince is much better. MYC Prince. And there's much better videos. There's good videos online showing how they work. They're not efficient, but they're okay. They were how it was done. License drive. Clive, the LEDs used to backlight TVs, etc., full range. I noticed they have a slight blue-purple tint to them. They don't need to be full range. All they have to do is put out the peak of the red, green, and blue pixels that are being used. So they probably have phosphors in those peaks. But I can tell you what they are. They're cheap and they're being overdriven. Which is why people are throwing TVs out left, right, and centre. They could last for ages, but no, let's make them disposable and make more money. That was a mini grant. That was a mini rant. Grant? Rant. What do you need three-phase in your house for? Power. Withered cookie. My Samsung died due to cook backlights. If you get a new TV, Electroshed, make sure it's not turned up to maximum intensity as so many of them are. Owl banana. I see a drop from 230 to 220 volts when charging my electric vehicle. That's being wasted in the wiring. I wonder if it's happening mostly outside your house. Hopefully not in your wiring. They fail very fast. They fail too fast and deliberately. You could put better lighting in the back of your TV and make it last a lot longer, underrunning the LEDs. Harry Zackerson, as per your advice, I've turned down my brightness to 20%. That is quite low, but turning it down to 80% is going to be a good compromise. I do that with my phones. I turn the brightness down. They're usually set up fairly high. I set it to the point, a comfortable level of viewing, except in sunlight. And it just takes a lot of strain off the LEDs, and it also means the battery lasts longer. Right to repair indeed. Furbear. The ability to fix your TV. Well, the TVs are very fixable. I love some of the modules you get for fixing the TVs, the generic modules that are commonly used in countries that are less disposable, like India, where they actually fix stuff, and they have companies that just, even the switch mode power supply, they have little tiny circuit board modules that you can tack onto an existing heatsink and jump the wires on. You have to understand the circuitry, and it replaces the switch mode section. Thank you, Linux Rules OK. I just sold an 18650 the RGB mini supercomputer, now a super duper mini supercomputer. It will last for ages. Photonic induction could do with three-phase. Yeah, Dennis. An upgrade to his house. Well, you can get it if you want. You can have a house upgrade to three-phase that you want. If you're willing to pay for the three-phase supply and the extra meters and the industrial tariffs, possibly charging you for apparent power instead of actual, which is not so great. Ola Hammerstrom says, some YouTube channel recently made a video on how to make an outdoors backyard TV using an old TV and put much better backlights in it. That's interesting. Increasing the brightness to make it a sort of daylight visible TV. That is quite an interesting project. Very straightforward, since ultimately the LED ceiling panels would be an option for that. I noticed that you get the super flat LED ceiling panels, the 2x2, the sort of 600 by 600 millimeter. But you also get ones that are clearly done TV style with strips of LEDs in the back of a reflector firing down onto a diffuser about 2 inches, 50 millimeter below it. Thank you, Samji. How many amp service do you get per home from the electricity supplier in Isle of Man? Is it enough for charging EV and run appliances? It varies across the UK between 60 amps up to typically 80 amps, sometimes 100 amps. And as soon as I'm saying that, I'm going like the cable size is the 16, 25 and 35 mil cable. And melting the panel in the process, not with a bit of ventilation, and besides, the LEDs don't run super hot-ish. I suppose you could use those cob array LEDs, the 240 volt ones. Bit dodgy, bit high. Or was it DIY perks? It does. That's who came to mind as soon as you said that. Yeah, Mike's electric stuff. The TV backlights are brighter than ceiling panels due to 50% loss in polarized and 60 to 70 in the RGB stripes. It's super inefficient. You lose so much light. Someday they'll make a breakthrough that gets rid of the polarizer, and it's just going to make them so much lower power. Drink, says SK. I shall drink. The stream will be ending in 4 minutes with a woofle, just so you know. And there will be another Patreon stream on Thursday. 4468 has just arrived, apparently right at the very end. You can't get rid of the polarizer for nautical, unless they find a different gating technology, a light gating technology is what I mean, not in the sense of keeping the existing LCD technology. But to be honest, I think the future may be the Samsung approach of micro LEDs. They're basically an LED video wall in your house, but really tiny LEDs using flip chips. Flip chips, I could show you. I'm running out of time. There's only, I've got enough time. No, I've not, because I can't think of power supply for it. I could use one of the power supplies up there. I'll go and grab it. Found a power supply. LED tape. It's the linear LED tape that just has a stripe of the phosphor gel down the middle, and lots of LEDs. Turn that on, touch the touch button. So bright, but it's 5 volts, but 1 meter of it is knocking the color, the white balance off. 1 meter it draws 2 amps. It's got a lot of LEDs in it. 2 amps for 1 meter. So I wouldn't really recommend. You can get it with 5 meter runs, but that would be 10 amps at 5 volts. That's not practical, but for short sections, pretty good. It is dimmable. Hold on, I shall dim it down a bit. Oh, that's better. So a ghostly glow, and you can kind of see what's inside it. Spoiler, one resistor in the same orientation, small resistor in the same orientation as flip chips, no wire bonds, 1 resistor in between pairs of LEDs. So 2 LEDs are in parallel. A lot of heat to dissipate, not super hot, because that's 2 amps, that's 10 watts over a meter. So that's basically, it's 1 watt over this section. So it's not that bad. The LEDs are being run about 8 milliamps each. The link, just go online, look at the cob strips and you'll find it, you'll find it when it shows a continuous line of light. I went for the blue hoping it was going to be clear. It's diffused, unfortunately. It was very hard getting this stuff off. There'll be a video about it coming soon, probably with links. How's the storm last night? Wonky chimney pot now, says Colin. I didn't really get hit by the storm here. Which is odd, because the Irish Sea, I heard Blackpool got it quite bad, but it's not that far away from here. But then again, maybe I've just got high expectations with storms because I live in the Isle of Man, which is in the middle of the Irish Sea, and we normally have them all the time. Do not have to get here. My bin blew down the street, says Stupid Weasel. Ah. Still snowing in Lincolnshire. China North Airguns, the van got hit by the storm. Brighton got it this afternoon, all right. Jaeger time, it's not Jaeger time, it's Woofle time soon. And then the stream will end. Anybody see that story about red LEDs helping eyesight? It's all just, some of this stuff is very controversial. Not sure. I've heard that story that it actually reverses macular degeneration if you look into bright red LEDs. I'm not sure that's convincing. I think it might be based on the fact blue LEDs are supposed to damage your eyesight because it causes a really high intensity blue light because it causes a bleaching effect in your eye or something like that. But who knows? We had power cuts last night, says Hopeful Traveller. Sounds like storms have been going through. Paul went, Clive, you are loved well, mate. Why, thank you. So, final whiffle. And there's a journalistic spin Anthony report on. A top scientist has said, who was this scientist? Peer-reviewed expert, just to suit your agenda. Yes, indeed. Whiffle. Oh, my. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Whiffle. Hold it behind the teddy. I would scorch the teddy and say, burn in hell. But anyway, the stream is now coming to an end. I'll probably go over to Discord. I'm going to put pizza on. I'm sure that Furby will probably put a link for Discord round about this point. He normally does. I shall hover on for a moment just in case he's about to put a link to Discord. He might be going for a pee. I'm not really sure. Not really sure indeed. There it is. And I shall catch you if you're a patron. I'll catch you on Thursday. If you're not a patron, I'll catch you on Saturday. Or if you're a patron, I'll catch you on both the days. And I shall see you then. Have a good week.